Welcome, and thank you for being here tonight. You may have just gone through a very long day. Your body is tired, but your mind is still spinning. There are things you haven't told anyone, and the moment you lie down, an entire stream of emotions returns. Sadness, anger, worry, hurt, disappointment. Many people think, to feel peaceful, to fall asleep, I need to get rid of all these emotions. So they try to suppress them, push them aside, pretend they're okay. But the more they fight, the tighter everything feels inside. Emotions are like a door being forced shut. The harder you push, the more pressure builds behind it. In the teachings, the enlightened ones never taught us to fight our emotions. They taught us to stop fighting ourselves. Meditation is not about emptying the mind or becoming numb. Meditation is learning how to step gently into the inner room of your mind. Look directly at what is present and allow it to dissolve in its own natural way. Tonight, through simple teachings and ancient Zen stories, you will be guided into a softer journey. Instead of pushing anger away, we learn why it came. Instead of fearing sadness, we see the preciousness it carries. Instead of rejecting anxiety, we understand the message it is trying to send. When we understand this, the mind begins to resist less. When the mind resists less, the body begins to soften. And when both body and mind grow gentle again, deep, peaceful, healing sleep is no longer distant. It becomes the natural result of a heart that has stopped fighting itself. In the soft light of the Buddha's teachings and with each slower breath, we will explore something profound. Emotions are not enemies. They come to show us what is happening inside. And this is where the journey of this video begins, with one very important truth. Emotions are messengers from within. Each emotion is like a messenger from ancient Zen masters, like Master Avenra, Elder Kasharo, or the Hermit Malarim, carrying a message we often refuse to listen to. When we stop fighting, the door of wisdom opens, and we can receive what the emotion is trying to offer. Have you ever wondered why some emotions arrive so suddenly, like a stranger knocking on your door when you least expect it? A sadness that settles like a gray sky before rain, an anger that flares like embers not yet cooled, an uneasiness so delicate that one breath is enough to make it stir. Many people fear these emotions. They fear sadness, fear anger, fear loneliness, fear the waves rising inside their hearts. So they push them away, suppress them, run from them, or pretend they don't exist. But the more they run, the more emotions tighten around them like vines. The more they try to avoid them, the stronger the emotions return. A Zen master once said a simple line that made many people think for a long time. Emotions are not intruders. They are messengers. Messengers of whom? Messengers of your own inner world. Just like the Zen figures in old legends such as Master Avenra, Elder Kasharo, or the Hermit Malarim, who often appeared unexpectedly to offer an essential reminder to a disciple who had lost their way. Emotions are the same. They carry messages. Yet humans are often too busy fighting to ever open the door and listen. If emotions truly are messengers, then how many letters have we mistreated in our lives? Long ago, in the cloud-covered Vensira Mountains, there was a young scholar named Arelon. Everyone knew he was intelligent, sharp, and knowledgeable, yet inside him burned a fire of uncontrollable temper. If someone disagreed with him, he flared up instantly. When disappointed, he sank into silence for days. When afraid, he buried himself in work just to avoid facing himself. One day, after months of inner conflict, Arelon left the city and traveled to a hidden Zen monastery deep in the forest. The abbot there was an old Zen master, standing as straight as an ancient cedar, with eyes calm and deep like an autumn lake without a single ripple. When Arelon met the master, he bowed and spoke with a voice heavy as stone. "Master, I don't understand why I always have such strong emotions that drain me. I want to extinguish them." The master did not answer immediately. Instead, he handed Arelon an old envelope, sealed with a thread faded by time. "Keep this," he said. "But remember, don't open it too soon." Arelon was confused but agreed. The entire day as he worked around the monastery, his mind kept circling back to the envelope. Waiting and wondering made him restless, as if standing over a fire. By evening, his curiosity was unbearable. He opened it. Inside was only a blank sheet of paper. Not a word, not even a mark. Bewildered, Arelon hurried to the master. "Master, there's nothing inside the letter." The master smiled gently. "But throughout the day, what did you feel?" Arelon hesitated. "I felt restless, anxious, impatient, even irritated at times." The master nodded. "Then the letter has already done its job. What needed to be seen was not on the paper, it was inside you." Arelon still didn't understand. The master continued, his voice deep like wind through the woods. "Every emotion inside you is like an unopened letter with no sender. They come not to punish you, not to make you suffer. They come to say, 'Look within,' but you have never opened them. You tear them apart, avoid them, or throw them away." He pointed toward the temple courtyard, where an old cedar tree swayed gently in the night breeze. "Do you see that branch? It doesn't choose strong wind or soft wind. It simply listens and lets the wind pass through. Emotions are the same. If you become quiet enough, you will hear what they are trying to tell you." That night, Arelon sat beneath the roof of the temple. For the first time in his life, he did not fight his emotions. He observed sadness like slow-moving water, anger like a small spark, worry like a quiet shadow walking beside his feet, and for the first time, he heard what the invisible letters had been trying to say all along. "You have abandoned yourself." From that day forward, Arelon was no longer afraid of emotions. He saw them as familiar guests returning, each carrying a story he had once refused to hear. Arelon's story reminds us that emotions have never been enemies. They do not come to destroy our lives, but to reveal the parts of us that have been silently forgotten. In the teachings, emotions are simply mental formations that arise and pass according to conditions. They are like waves on the ocean. Big waves don't weaken the sea. Small waves don't make it less valuable. A wave is only a form. The ocean is the true nature. Zen teaches a simple sentence powerful enough to change a life. Emotions are guests. The mind is the home. Suffering begins the moment we mistake the guest for the owner. We let sadness become me, anger become my personality, anxiety become my fate. But as the old master showed Arelon, Emotions are just letters with no sender, carrying messages, not identities. We suffer only because we never open them, always tearing them apart or running away. From the perspective of modern psychology, emotions are the mind's signaling system. Fear says, something needs protection. Sadness says, something precious has been lost. Anger says, your boundaries are being crossed. They are like inner traffic lights, red to stop and observe, yellow to pay attention, green to continue. The issue is never the signal. It is our refusal to look at it. From Erilon's story, we see a truth many people miss. Every emotion carries a subtle message meant for you. They do not come to break you, but to knock gently on the inner door, reminding you that something needs to be seen again. When we run from emotions, they don't disappear. They return stronger, like a letter sent back because it was never opened. But when we have the courage to pause and observe, what we find is not weakness, but truth. Observation is not indulging emotion, nor drowning in it, but understanding it. And once understood, emotion loses its power to control. Just as light gives darkness nowhere to hide, neuroscience also shows that simply naming an emotion, this is sadness, this is worry, this is anger, immediately activates the prefrontal cortex, the region of clarity and reasoning, while the amygdala, the emotional alarm center, begins to calm down. Meaning, by naming it, the mind is soothed. This is why meditation teaches us to recognize without judgment. Each time you name the emotion present, you are doing what Erilon did beneath the temple roof, opening the letter instead of tearing it apart. And in that simple moment, the door of awareness begins to open. Erilon's story is only the beginning, because behind these emotional messengers lies an even deeper truth. It is not anger, sadness, or worry that exhausts the mind. It is the war we wage against them. The more we push emotions away, the more layers of suffering we place on top of the original pain. Once we understand this, we see that healing does not come from extinguishing emotions, but from seeing them clearly through the light of mindfulness. Next, we will explore a crucial paradox of the inner world. Why the more we fight our emotions, the stronger they become. In life, there is a paradox that leaves many people exhausted without understanding why. Anger is not what wears us out. Sadness is not what breaks us. And anxiety does not shatter our mind. What truly drains us is the resistance to those emotions. It sounds strange, doesn't it? Because from a young age, people are taught that uncomfortable emotions are things to avoid, to push away, to hold back. When you're angry, you must suppress it. When you're sad, you must stay positive. When you're anxious, you must force a smile. When you're hurt, you must act strong. But it's like trying to push a ball underwater. The harder you press it down, the more violently it bounces back. The more you try to drive an emotion out of your mind, the more it turns into a giant wave crashing against the shore of your heart. Zen masters often ask their students a very simple question. When a wound has not yet healed, does covering it up make it go away? If you only cover it, it will continue to fester inside. The human mind is the same. An emotion that is resisted does not disappear. It simply sinks deeper, grows darker, and returns stronger. Resistance is like driving a blade into your own skin. It solves nothing. It only adds another layer of hurt. So what happens if you stop fighting? To understand this clearly, let us listen to the story of a young practitioner who, like so many people in this life, confused emotion itself with the inner war against emotion. At the foot of the snow-covered Elmoran Range, where winter winds always carry the scent of pine resin and the faint echo of the mountains, there was a small ancient monastery, as if hidden between two worlds, stillness and ordinary life. In that monastery lived a young practitioner named Leorin, gentle at heart, diligent in mind, yet with a soul constantly wrapped in vague fear. Each time uneasiness arose, he immediately tried to crush it down, as if just one moment of neglect would be enough for anxiety to swallow him whole. On a freezing winter afternoon, as the sun cast its last golden light over the tops of the old pines, Leorin walked toward the Zen master, who was quietly sweeping the courtyard. His voice trembled. "Master, I don't understand why the anxiety inside me grows larger every day. I try to push it away, but the more I push, the stronger it gets. I feel like I'm losing a battle. I don't even know how it began." The master set the broom down. His seasoned eyes lifted toward the mountain peaks glowing in the sunset. "Tonight, prepare an empty room," he said. "A guest will come to visit." "Who is it?" Leorin asked, confused. The master simply smiled. "Just prepare it. But remember, whoever it is, do not drive them away." That night, the wind howled through the cracks in the door like the sigh of the forest. Around midnight, Leorin heard 3 soft knocks. Knock, knock, knock. His heart pounded, but his teacher's words pushed him to stand up. With shaking hands, he opened the door. Standing before him was a tall man, face rigid, eyes sharp and cold, as if they could see straight into his bones. "I am Anxiety," the man said. "I've come to see you." Leorin wanted to slam the door shut immediately, but he forced himself to step aside and invited the guest in. The guest sat down in the center of the room. With every movement he made, the air seemed to grow colder. As Leorin poured tea, his hands shook so badly that the water spilled over the rim of the cup. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice weak. The guest did not answer. He only stared straight into Leorin's eyes. That gaze felt like a blade searching every corner of his mind to find a place to touch. Then the guest stood up and walked along the walls. Wherever his hand brushed, cracks appeared more clearly. Leorin panicked. "Stop! Don't destroy this place!" The guest turned back, his voice low but not angry. "I am not destroying anything. I am only revealing what is already here. These cracks are not created by me. They are your fears, your running away, and the words you have used to blame yourself night after night. I am only showing you what you refuse to see." Leorin stood frozen, stripped of all the familiar layers of hiding. The guest continued, his voice softer now. "Do you know why I grow stronger every time you push me away? Because you see me as an enemy. You only fear me, but you have never truly looked at me. The more you fear me, the bigger I become." "So what should I do?" Leorin asked, his voice almost breaking. The guest stepped closer, standing right in front of him. Let me be here. Look straight at me. I do not come to hurt you. I come to tell you that there are things inside you that have been buried for too long. Then he opened the door and walked out into the night. Before disappearing completely, he turned back and said softly, "When you no longer push me away, I have no reason to stay long." The next morning, Leorin told the Zen master everything. The master nodded, his eyes gentle. Last night, you met what you've been running from your whole life. Anxiety did not come to attack you. It came to illuminate the cracks within you that you do not want to see. When you resist it, it becomes a ghost. When you receive it, it becomes a messenger. From that moment on, Leorin understood one thing. Sometimes what is most frightening is not the emotion itself, but the fact that we have never dared to face it. Leorin's story reveals a truth many people overlook. Suffering does not arise from the emotion itself, but from the way we treat it. Buddhist teachings call this the cycle of craving, clinging, becoming in the Four Noble Truths. Craving is the desire for pleasant emotions to last forever. Clinging is holding tightly to a mental state and believing it should stay. Becoming is mistaking emotion for who I am, but there is an even subtler kind of attachment, harder to recognize. The attachment to the desire not to have uncomfortable emotions. We want sadness to disappear immediately. We want anxiety to disappear immediately. We want anger to dissolve in an instant. And the moment we want them gone, we step into resistance. Zen calls this trying to push the current upstream. The more you push, the more exhausted you become. Resistance creates opposing energy. Just as in physics, the stronger the force, the stronger the reaction. The inner world is the same. The more we try to drive emotions away, the more fiercely they return. Modern psychology calls this the rebound effect. The more you try not to think about something, the more your brain repeats it. The more you try to push emotions down, the more they spring back up like a compressed coil. The original emotion was only a small ripple. Resistance turns it into a storm, and that is exactly what Leorin's story wants to remind us. We often fight something that never intended to harm us, simply because we have never paused long enough to look it in the eye. From Leorin's story and the Zen master's teaching, we see a truth many people misunderstand. Emotions are not dangerous by nature. They are not predators lurking in the dark, but subtle signals rising from within. Every time we push an emotion away, we are unintentionally feeding it. And when we refuse to look at our fear, it immediately transforms into inner darkness. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is the bravest act, to look directly, without running away and without exaggerating. Zen teaches that simply observing allows the mind to heal on its own. One mindful breath is enough to help the brain activate its calming mechanisms, so that a rising wave of emotion can gradually melt like snow under the sun. Modern neuroscience confirms this. When you allow an emotion to be present for 90 seconds, that emotional wave will naturally decrease significantly. No need to push it away. No need to force it. Just allow it to be there. What exhausts us has never truly been the worry or the anger. What wears the mind down are the familiar self-blaming thoughts. I'm not allowed to be sad. I'm not allowed to be weak. I'm not allowed to be afraid. Those sentences are like invisible chains binding the inner world, causing us to lose the ability to listen to ourselves. And that is when emotion, which was only a guest, turns into an obsession. Before falling asleep, many people enter the most difficult moment of their day. When the outer noise fades, the emotions suppressed all day suddenly become louder, clearer, as if they are knocking on the door of the heart. If you resist them, the night will become long and heavy. Zen masters often teach a practice that is very simple yet deeply powerful. Place one hand on your chest. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. And silently say within, I allow this emotion to be here. Do not analyze it. Do not try to push it away. Simply observe, like someone standing on the riverbank, watching the water quietly flow by. When you stop resisting, the mind begins to soften. It becomes light, like a still lake when the wind has stopped blowing. And in that quietness, sleep comes naturally, as gently as a leaf touching the surface of a stream and fading into the night. Resistance is truly the root of suffering. But why do we resist? Because we mistake ourselves for the wave. So when waves rise, we panic. While in truth, emotions are like waves. We are the ocean. Waves come and go. They do not belong to anyone. We are not anger, not sadness, not fear. We are the vast space that can hold every wave that passes through without being harmed. Next, we will move to another story. A story that will help you understand why every emotion can pass when you know you are the ocean, not the wave. In life, many people believe that emotions are what can break them. A burst of anger that makes the heart race, a sadness that makes the day feel unbearably heavy, a fear that throws the mind into confusion. But there is a paradox that very few people recognize. Emotions are not stronger than you. They only seem strong when you mistake yourself for the wave. Zen masters often say, emotions are waves, but people mistake themselves for the waves. Have you ever watched the ocean? The waves can be high, fierce, noisy, rising as if they want to swallow everything. But beneath that surface, the sea is still deep, still vast, still calm. Waves are just temporary movements. The sea is the true nature. Emotions are the same. They may rise powerfully in body and mind, but your true nature is the vast ocean, not the temporary waves. So why do we get swept away so easily by a small emotion? Because we believe that emotion is me, is my nature. Because we do not see ourselves as the ocean, we only see the waves. Long ago, in the coastal region of Llaneros, where steep cliffs faced the deep blue sea, there was an ancient monastery perched on a rocky point. In that monastery lived a young disciple named Mailerin, an intelligent young man with a sensitive soul, but more easily hurt than anyone. Just one mild criticism could make him sad for days. One passing worry could send his heart into an abyss. One old memory returning was enough to pull him down into a pain that felt bottomless. One day, Mailerin went to the abbot to ask for guidance. "Master, I don't understand why my emotions always come like storms. Strong, fast, and they sweep me away. I can't fight them." The Zen master looked out toward the sea, where the waves were crashing against the cliffs like thousands of giant hands. "Tonight," he said, "go down to the shore and wait for the sea to speak to you." Mailerin obeyed. When night fell, he walked along the cold sand. The wind blew hard, and the waves roared as if they wanted to touch the sky. Looking at that scene, Mailerin was filled with fear. He thought, "These waves are just like my emotions, wild, chaotic, and far too big for me to handle." Right then, an old fisherman approached, thin in body, but with eyes bright as if they could see straight into a person's heart. "Are you afraid of the waves?" the old man asked. "Yes, I feel too small in front of them," Mailerin replied. The old man shook his head. "You're mistaken. You are not a little boat in a storm. You are the ocean." Mailerin was surprised. "How can I be the ocean?" The old man sat down beside him, speaking slowly. "Long ago, I was afraid of the waves too. Every time I was angry, I felt like I was about to shatter. Every time I was sad, I felt like I was drowning. Every time I was anxious, I thought I had no air left to breathe. I ran from my emotions, wanted to push them away, wanted them to disappear. But the more I ran, the more they chased me. The more I feared them, the stronger they became." He pointed toward the dark surface of the sea. Then a Zen master told me, "A wave is only the movement of water. Water is never harmed by the waves." When I understood that, the waves were still there, but the fear was gone. Mailerin listened in silence. The night wind wrapped around the two of them, but his heart began to calm. The old man continued, "People don't suffer because of the waves. They suffer because they think they are a tiny boat. Whenever waves rise, they think they're about to sink. But if they realize they are the ocean, vast and deep, then no wave is strong enough to carry them away." The old man stood up and gently placed his hand on Mailerin's shoulder. "You are not your emotions. You are the ground beneath them. You are the sea, the place where all waves are born and where they dissolve." With that, the old man disappeared into the night. Mailerin looked back at the waves. They were still strong, still fierce, but the fear was gone. He whispered, "I am not the waves. I am the ocean." The next morning, Mailerin returned to the monastery. The Zen master asked, "What did the sea say to you?" Mailerin smiled softly. "I understood that anger, sadness, and worry are only waves. They come, then they go. But my true nature is not the waves. It is the sea." The Zen master nodded. "Then you have heard the true voice of your own mind." The story of Mailerin is a deep illustration in Zen about the true nature of emotions. What arises in our heart, anger, sadness, worry, confusion, does not define who we are. They are only temporary movements, like waves rising on the surface of the sea and then dissolving back into the very place they came from. In Buddhist teachings, emotions are seen as mental formations. They arise due to conditions, stay for a while, and then pass away. No emotion lasts forever. That is why Zen teaches things that seem simple but are deeply liberating. Do not see emotions as me. Do not cling to them. Do not fight them. Just observe them as you would watch waves breaking on the shore. Modern psychology calls this decentering, stepping back from emotions and recognizing that they are simply experiences occurring, not your identity. When you say, "I am angry," you unconsciously put on the clothes of that emotion and let it take over your whole sense of self. But when you say, "There is anger arising," you take one step back, and suddenly you are no longer being pulled into that wave. This is so important that it can change a person's entire inner life. Because when you believe you are the wave, you will feel tossed around, dragged under, and lost. But when you know you are the ocean, vast, calm, steady, you realize that no wave is strong enough to drown you. Emotions are movement. You are the foundation. When you return to that foundation, freedom begins to open. From Mailer's story, there are very practical lessons anyone can start applying in daily life. The first and most important, emotions are not your true nature. Anger is not you. Sadness is not you. Worry is not you. They are just waves arising on the surface of the mind's ocean, coming and going without carrying your value or identity. The second, every emotion has its own lifespan. Anger is often intense at the beginning, but then it fades. Sadness may feel deep, but it cannot stay forever unless you hold on to it or try to force it away. Emotion is movement by nature. It is our struggle with it that makes it seem so long-lasting. The third, observation is the doorway out of suffering. When you slow your breath and watch emotions the way you watch waves reaching the shore, without judgment, without resistance, the weight of emotion immediately lessens. One neuroscience study shows that simply naming the emotion that is present causes the amygdala, the brain's stress center, to calm down. In other words, simply seeing the emotion already begins the healing process. Finally, practice what the Zen master taught Mailorin. Become the ocean. Each time an emotion rises, just ask yourself one question. Am I being the wave or am I being the sea? That one question is enough to soften your mind, to widen it, and to remind you that you are never truly carried away, because your true nature is the quiet foundation beneath all waves. Many people cannot sleep, not because their bodies are tired, but because their minds are being carried away by emotional waves. The moments before sleep are often when worries, anger, and sadness rise strongest, as if they have waited all day for you to lie down so they can flood in. But if you change the way you see them, the night becomes lighter and easier to breathe through. Zen masters often teach a very simple practice before sleep. Sit or lie down in a truly comfortable position. Place one hand gently on your chest. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out deeply. And when an emotion appears, simply whisper within, "This is only a wave. I am the ocean." Do not push it away. Do not analyze it. Do not try to fix your mind. Just observe, as if you were standing on the shore watching the water flow. When you are no longer the small boat being thrown around by the waves, but instead the vast ocean itself. No wave can exhaust you or knock you over. Your mind opens, becomes more spacious, deep, and calm. And in that vastness, sleep comes naturally, soft as a night breeze moving through a pine forest, peaceful as the sea when the wind has gone quiet. Emotions are waves, and you are the ocean. That is how you stop being dragged around by the storms inside. But why is it so hard for people to realize this? Because there are 3 deep roots shaping all emotional activity in human life. What the teachings call the 3 poisons. The 3 poisons operate in our emotional life like 3 hidden currents. Attachment to pleasant emotions. Aversion, fighting against unpleasant emotions. Ignorance, mistaking ourselves for our emotions. These 3 intertwine like an invisible net that keeps people trapped in suffering. Among the countless reasons people drown in emotional suffering, there are 3 roots that silently operate more powerfully than all the others. The 3 poisons: greed, aversion, and ignorance. The 3 poisons are not something distant or abstract. They are present in our smallest reactions. When we wish pleasure would last forever, when we fight against sadness, when we believe anger is our true nature. Zen masters often ask their students, "Have you ever wondered why even a small emotion can completely tangle your mind?" The truth is, emotion by itself does not create suffering. It is like a breeze passing through the leaves. But when the 3 poisons step in, the craving for what feels pleasant, the aversion to what feels unpleasant, and the ignorance that mistakes emotion for the self, that small breeze turns into a storm strong enough to knock down the whole forest. Imagine the mind as a garden. Emotions are just the clouds in the sky, but the 3 poisons are what seep into the soil, preventing flowers from blooming. If we do not see the 3 poisons, we will keep pulling off leaves without ever touching the roots underground. To see clearly how the 3 poisons operate, the Zen master will tell you an old story about a traveler trapped inside his own emotions until he discovered 3 invisible ropes that had been binding him for a very long time. Long ago, in the valley of Latheran, there was a strange forest that people called the Forest of Reflected Mind. They believed that anyone who entered would see their own emotions take shape as living forms, at times gentle like a flowing stream, at times fierce like wild beasts. No one could walk into that forest and keep a normal state of mind, because the forest reflected the deepest things hidden in a person's heart. A traveler named Eldarin happened to pass through that region. He was a man of intense emotions. When joyful, he felt it fiercely. When sad, his heart twisted in pain. When angry, he burned like fire. Eldarin always believed that this was simply his nature, unchangeable and uncontrollable. One afternoon, he took a wrong turn and entered the forest without realizing it. At first, the scene before him was gentle. The sound of the stream murmured like a song, and the soft wind made the leaves tremble peacefully. A feeling of happiness spread through Eldarin's whole body. He whispered, "This is the feeling I want to keep forever." The deeper he walked into the forest, the more beautiful it became. Golden sunlight scattered across the ground, and birds sang with a clarity like flutes echoing in a valley. Eldarin tried to hold on to each moment. He reached out as if to grasp the rays of sunlight, tried to cup the birdsong in his hands, but everything disappeared the moment he touched it. The joy that had just bloomed turned immediately into regret. Suddenly, the sky darkened. The wind changed direction. A strange howl echoed, sending a chill down Eldarin's spine. From the middle of the forest, a huge, dark shape emerged, with eyes glowing red like burning coals. Its breath was hot like fire on his face. "Who are you?" Eldarin asked, trembling. The dark figure roared, "I am your fear. I grew out of your constant running away." Terrified, Eldarin turned and ran. But the more he ran, the closer the dark figure came, as if fueled by his fear itself. He flailed his arms, shouted, tried to push it away, but the more he resisted, the larger it became, towering like a column of smoke swallowing the sky. He stumbled and fell. When he looked up, another being appeared, a living flame in the shape of a human. "And who are you?" Eldarin asked, gasping for breath. The flame answered with a searing voice, "I am your anger. I was born from the pains you never dared to look at." Fear and anger stood on either side of Eldarin, trapping him in despair. He held his head in his hands. "Why are you attacking me? I never wanted you." Both beings replied, their voices like wind passing through stone. "You have never understood us. You believed we were you. But we are only emotions. You are the one who mistook us for yourself." Eldarin was stunned. "I mistook you?" Fear said, "You chase after what feels pleasant. That is greed." Anger continued, "You push away what feels unpleasant. That is aversion." Both spoke together. "And you believe emotions are your true self. That is ignorance." At that moment, an old man in rough cloth, leaning on a staff, stepped out of the mist. He looked at Eldarin with eyes full of understanding and compassion. "You have now seen the 3 poisons within yourself," he said. "Who are you?" Eldarin asked. "Someone who once got lost here just like you." The old man replied, "I have learned that emotions themselves do not harm anyone. It is clinging and resistance that cause suffering. When you mistake emotion for your identity, you hand your power over to it. When you chase joy and fight sadness, your mind turns into a battlefield." The old man gently placed a hand on Eldarin's shoulder. "Emotions are guests. The mind is the home. Guests arrive and leave, but you are not the guests." He pointed toward the direction of sunrise, where light was beginning to filter through the treetops. "Walk out of this forest. Once you understand the 3 poisons, this forest can no longer hold you." Eldarin stood up. As he followed the path of light, the creatures faded and disappeared completely. The forest of reflected mind was still there, but it no longer seemed frightening. Eldarin understood. The fear did not live in the forest. It lived in the things he had never dared to face within himself. The story of the forest of reflected mind vividly illustrates how the 3 poisons operate in each person's emotional life. 1. Greed, clinging to what feels pleasant. Just as Eldarin tried to hold on to birdsong and sunlight, people often try to cling to pleasant emotions. Joy, excitement, moments of peace. Yet all of these are impermanent. When you try to hold on to what was born to pass, you create your own suffering. Clinging is a burden, not happiness. 2. Aversion, fighting what feels unpleasant, fear, anger, sadness. When they are pushed away, they return more fiercely. Just as the more Eldarin ran, the bigger the dark figure became. Aversion does not make emotions disappear. It inflames them. Resistance is secretly feeding what you want to avoid. 3. Ignorance, mistaking emotions for your true self. When you say, "I am hot-tempered," "I am weak," "I am anxious," you are giving emotions the right to define who you are. But emotions are only waves rising and falling. Your true nature is not the wave. Your true nature is the vast ocean that can hold and transform every wave. Modern psychology calls the 3 poisons by different names. Overattachment, clinging tightly to what we like. Resistance, fighting against what we do not want. Misidentification, mistaking our emotions for who we are. Interestingly, these findings have only been clearly discussed in science for a few decades. Yet Buddhism pointed them out more than 2,000 years ago. Suffering does not lie in emotion itself. Suffering lies in how we relate to emotion. In our modern life, the 3 poisons no longer appear as roughly as in old stories. They have become subtle and refined, so much so that many people do not realize they are being led by them. When you are happy and suddenly fear that your happiness will disappear, that is greed. Not greed for material things, but a tight grip on pleasant feelings, wanting them to stay forever, something that can never happen. When you are sad and immediately scold yourself for being weak, that is aversion. Not anger at others, but anger directed at yourself, not allowing yourself to be sad, tired, or hurt. When, because of a fleeting emotion, you rush to conclude, "I'm terrible, I'm useless, I'm not worthy," that is ignorance. You have mistaken a passing emotion for your true nature, just like confusing a small wave with the entire ocean. Understanding the 3 poisons helps you untangle the web of emotions that has long wrapped around your mind. Many studies, including a well-known one from Harvard University, show that a typical emotion lasts only about 90 seconds. Anything that continues beyond that is fueled by repetitive thinking, by clinging or resisting. That means clinging to what is pleasant. Suffering is prolonged. Fighting what is unpleasant. Suffering intensifies. Mistaking emotion for identity. Suffering deepens. Understanding the 3 poisons is the first step to opening the door to inner freedom. When night falls and the world around you grows quiet, that is also when the 3 poisons quietly rise most strongly in the human mind. Some people toss and turn simply because they are clinging to a pleasant feeling that belongs to yesterday. Some people keep turning over because they are trying to push away a sadness they haven't even named. Some people lie still in the dark while their mind keeps whispering, "I should be stronger." This is how greed, aversion, and ignorance operate in the hours when people are most vulnerable. To help the mind return to peace, Zen masters often teach a simple practice before sleep. Place one hand on your chest, where your heartbeat is quietly telling its story. Breathe slowly and steadily, as if clearing a path for stillness to return. When an emotion appears, silently say, "This emotion is arriving." No judgment, no labeling it as good or bad. Look carefully to see whether you are clinging to what feels pleasant or fighting what feels unpleasant. Notice the three poisons moving in your mind gently, as if lifting a curtain. Then relax, like someone sitting quietly on the river bank, watching the water flow without jumping in. When you no longer let the three poisons lead you, the mind becomes light, like a leaf letting itself float on the wind. And in that lightness, sleep comes naturally, without forcing, without searching. Understanding the three poisons is learning to see the root of emotional suffering. But the three poisons only feel powerful when we believe emotions last forever. The truth is, no matter how intense they are, emotions always follow the law of impermanence. No emotion exists forever. Anger flares up and then settles. Sadness swells and then fades. Joy shines and then gently softens. When you recognize impermanence, you become less afraid and less attached. Have you ever wondered why some emotions frighten people so much that they want to run away, even when it's just a brief sadness, a moment of anger, or a vague, shapeless anxiety? The strange thing is this: what causes human suffering is not the emotion itself, but the belief that it will stay forever, swallow us whole, and never end. In the teachings, Zen masters always remind us that everything in this life moves according to one unchanging principle: impermanence. But impermanence is not only about the birth and death of this physical body, or the changing of the seasons. Impermanence is also the rhythm of our emotions. A burst of anger rises and then settles, like a wave crashing onto the shore. A sadness comes and then fades away, like a cloud drifting across the sky. A joy flares up and then softens, like the light of sunset. When we truly see impermanence, we become less panicked when strong emotions arise, and less attached when pleasant emotions appear. Like someone who understands the ocean, we can look at big waves without fear, because we know the waves will pass. To shed light on this, let us listen to another ancient story about the changing nature of emotions and how seeing deeply can free us from inner fear. In the cold northern mountains, where winter seems to have no end, there was a small monastery called Rinzaku, hidden among steep cliffs. The wind there did not blow like anywhere else. It struck the rock like drums from the sky, echoing down to the bones. In that monastery lived a young novice named Eshiro, gentle but with a heart as fragile as morning mist on the tip of a blade of grass. Just one unintentional comment could trouble him all night. One unclear look was enough to make him doubt himself. Sadness lingered, anger burst out, worry flooded in, and all of it kept him awake night after night. One evening, as the wind howled through the cracks of the door like wild beasts, Ishiro came to see Master Horaya, the abbot known for eyes as peaceful as a late autumn lake. The young novice bowed and said, "Master, it always feels like there is a storm inside me. When I'm angry, I'm afraid I'll lose control. When I'm sad, I'm afraid it will stay forever. When I'm happy, I'm afraid it will disappear. Why are emotions so frightening? Master Horia did not answer right away. He simply smiled and said, "Come with me to the courtyard." Outside, the wind was blowing so hard that the old cypress trees were bending. The master pointed to a single remaining leaf still clinging to a branch. "Do you see that leaf?" "Yes, master." "Do you think it will still be there tonight?" Ishiro looked at the wind, then at the trembling leaf. "I don't think so," he said. Master Horia nodded. "You have just understood the nature of emotions." Ishiro's eyes widened. "But I still don't understand." The master held out his hand, catching the wind as it passed. The wind comes and goes. No one can keep the wind, and no one can chase it away. Emotions are the same. They are not enemies, and they are not companions that stay for life. They are travelers passing through. He led Ishiro to an old well. The water inside was trembling in the wind. "Do you see the surface of the water?" "Yes, master." "Do you believe it will become calm again?" "I do." The master looked into the well, where the water reflected the moonlight. "Your mind is just like that. When conditions blow in, it moves, but its true nature is stillness. What frightens you is not the wind. It is the thought that the wind will never stop." Ishiro stood silent, stunned. Master Horia asked again, "If you feel angry now, what will you do?" "I will try to push it away," Ishiro answered. The master shook his head. "Pushing it away is the same as holding on to it. Holding on to it is the same as keeping it. If you want anger to leave, let it be there." The young novice was surprised. "Let it stay, so that it will leave?" The master laughed softly. "Yes, the wind does not need you to chase it in order to stop. The water does not need you to command it in order to become still. Emotions do not need you to fight them in order to fade. They disappear on their own when you no longer resist." That night, in the howling wind and thick darkness, Ishiro woke up. Sadness and anger rose again inside him, but for the first time, he simply watched. The emotions came like wind. They touched him and then moved on, and his mind, after many years of being cramped and chaotic, became as quiet as the old well in Rinzaku Monastery, still, clear, and open. The story from Rinzaku Monastery opens up an important truth in Zen. Emotions are only passing phenomena. They are not the true nature of the mind. Just as the wind is not the sky, emotions are not who we are. But most of our suffering comes from identifying with what is only temporary. I am sadness. I am anxiety. I am anger. Once we treat emotion as identity, we lose our freedom immediately. But in the Zen tradition, the masters always remind us, emotions are guests. The mind is the host. When we understand impermanence, our fear of emotions is reduced by half. Joy comes and goes. Sadness comes and goes. Anger, anxiety, disappointment, they all come and go. No emotion stays forever unless we cling to it or fight it. It is resistance that makes emotions stronger. Modern psychology calls this the rebound effect. The more you try not to think about something, the more your mind is haunted by it. The more you try to push sadness away, the more it clings to you. The more you try to drive anxiety out, the more it flares up like fire meeting wind. Zen masters teach a different approach. Emotions are waves. Do not swim against them. Just stand steady and let them pass. The moment you call an emotion by its true name, this is sadness, this is worry, this is anger, a small space immediately appears between you and the emotion. That space is the light of awareness. It is the place where you are no longer swept up in the wave, but return to the quiet foundation of your own mind. And when you find that place within, you begin to walk on the path of real freedom. In a busy life, impermanence is not an abstract idea or distant philosophy. It is a life skill, a way to stop being afraid of your own emotions. And you can practice it in 3 very simple steps. Step 1. Look directly at the emotion that is present. Do not run away. Do not force yourself to be fine. Do not judge what is right or wrong. Just be aware of it, like someone standing by a riverbank, quietly watching the water flow. Step 2. Gently remind yourself, this emotion will also pass. Like a cloud moving across the sky, an emotion is just an event. You do not need to control it. You do not need to keep it. You do not need to push it away. The cloud moves on by itself, and emotion does too. Step 3. Breathe deeply and give your body a few minutes to adjust. A single slow breath can calm your heartbeat, lower stress hormones, and help the part of your brain that handles emotions become softer. Science confirms this. Zen has been teaching it for thousands of years. Practicing impermanence does not make you numb. On the contrary, it allows you to meet life with more calm, stability, and clarity. When you know that every emotion has a beginning and an end, you no longer need to be afraid of it. You only need to let it pass and allow the mind's natural stillness to reappear. When emotions are seen for what they truly are, sleep also becomes lighter and easier. Many people are not sleepless because they think too much, but because they are afraid of the emotions rising in their own hearts. Afraid of sadness, afraid of worry, afraid of loneliness, afraid of the unknown ahead. But emotions are only frightening when you try to push them away. When you close your eyes, place your hand on your chest and whisper a very small sentence. This too will pass. Your whole body softens, like water after the wind has died down. Try listening to your own breathing. Breathing in, you know an emotion is present. Breathing out, you gently release the fear of that emotion. With just a few breaths like that, the mind becomes wide and still, like a lake receiving the wind. No pushing, no holding, just letting everything move through. And when the mind is quiet, sleep will naturally find its way to you. Peaceful as moonlight falling on the surface of the water. Understanding impermanence means you have taken a long step on the path of awakening. But to avoid getting pulled into emotions every time they arise, you still need another key. The art of observing without judgment, simply naming an emotion gently. This is sadness. This is worry. This is anger. Already creates an open space inside. That space is where awareness begins, and it is also the doorway to the next story. the foundation of pure observation, when the mind simply sees without clinging. There is something very strange in the inner life of human beings. When emotions appear, people usually want to judge them immediately. Sadness gets labeled as weakness. Anger is called bad. Worry is treated as a problem. Some people, the moment they feel an emotion rising, start blaming themselves. Why am I like this? Why isn't my mind calm? Yet the more they judge, the more tangled the mind becomes. The more they try to fix it, the stronger the emotion grows. It's like when a child is crying. If you yell at the child, they only cry louder. The mind is the same. In the teachings, the foundation of mindfulness is taught very clearly. Observe. Do not judge. Do not resist. All you need to do is name the emotion gently. This is sadness. This is worry. This is anger. Immediately, a free space opens up between you and the emotion. That space is awareness, the place where you are no longer caught in the spiral of emotion. To understand this deeply, let's listen to the next ancient story about a young monk who spent many years drowning in fear of his own emotions. Far out in the hills, there was an old monastery called Hakure, resting quietly in a misty valley. Every morning, the sound of its bell would ring through the thick fog like a stream of water washing the mind clean. In that monastery lived a young novice named Renshiro, gentle and diligent, but with a heart that was almost too sensitive. Just hearing a mild piece of feedback was enough to make his face burn with shame. A gloomy day could make him sad for no clear reason. Just thinking about tomorrow was enough to stir up a nameless anxiety inside him. What made him suffer was not the emotions themselves, but his fear of facing them. Whenever an emotion arose, he would immediately try to push it away. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to worry. I don't want to be angry. One early winter morning, cold wind swept through the valley, and the fog was so thick that the path was no longer visible. In the light confusion of his heart, Renshiro went to see the abbot, Master Kyorin, known for a stillness as deep as the 1,000-year-old stones at the monastery gate. Renshiro bowed and said, "Master, whenever an emotion arises in me, I feel like I'm being pulled into a deep pit. I'm afraid it will swallow me whole. I don't know how to escape." The master did not answer right away. He simply stepped outside and said, "Come with me." The two of them walked into the dense fog. The cold clung to their brown robes. Under the eaves, a large bronze bell stood motionless. The master struck it lightly. Its warm, deep sound spread outward and then faded into the mist like a long exhale. He asked, "Did you see the sound of the bell fade away?" "Yes, master." "Did you try to make it stop?" "No, master." "So it stopped on its own?" "Yes." The master looked straight into his eyes. Emotions are just like this bell. They ring, and then they fade. You don't need to hit them to make them stop. You just need to listen. Renshiro hesitated. "But when I'm sad or worried, it feels so strong." The master struck the bell again, this time harder. The sound rang deeper and longer. "This sound is stronger, isn't it?" "Yes, much stronger." "But will it last forever?" "No, master." The master nodded. "Strong or weak doesn't matter. Whatever arises will pass. You only need to observe. He led Renshiro to a small patch of ground where the fog was thinner. On the grass, a few drops of dew were glistening. The master bent down. "Do you see this drop of dew?" "Yes, master." "If you call it by its name, this is a drop of dew. Are you afraid of it?" "No. Emotions are the same. Call them by name. The moment you do that, you have already stepped out of them. You are no longer the emotion. You are the one who is seeing." Hearing this, Renshiro felt as if a heavy stone that had been pressing on his chest for a long time was suddenly lifted. The master instructed him, "From now on, when you're afraid, say, 'This is fear.' When you're worried, say, 'This is worry.' When you're angry, say, 'This is anger.' Just name it. Don't fix it. Don't hit it. Don't drive it away." That night, Renshiro lay in his small wooden room. Outside, the wind whispered through the old roof tiles. Suddenly, a familiar wave of worry rose up again. But this time, he did not run from it. He placed his hand on his chest and quietly whispered, "This is worry," and something strange happened. That worry suddenly felt light, like a drop of dew slowly melting under the first light of dawn. It was still there, but it no longer dragged him into a deep pit the way it used to. He understood. It was not the emotion itself that made him suffer, but his judgment of it. When he simply watched, without fighting, without clinging, the emotion returned to its true nature, a bell that rings and then fades away. The story of Hakure Monastery reveals a truth that many people only understand after a lot of inner struggle. Observing and being immersed are two completely different paths. When you quietly say, "This is sadness," "This is worry," you are standing in the position of the observer, not the person being swallowed by the emotion. The observer is never drowned because they see emotion as a phenomenon, not as their identity. On the other hand, when you say, "I am sad," "I am worried," "I am angry," you have already merged yourself with the emotion, and in that very moment, you are swept away. Naming an emotion creates a safe distance. In psychology, this technique is called labeling emotion. When you put a name to what you feel, the part of the brain that handles fear and stress automatically calms down. What science has only discovered in recent years, Zen has been teaching for thousands. In Zen, emotions are not judged. There is no right. There is no wrong. Sadness does not make you bad. Worry does not make you weak. Anger does not make you a bad person. Emotions are simply present, like a cloud passing across the sky. We neither love it nor hate it. We simply watch. And it is precisely that watching that helps emotions dissolve more quickly. Emotions are like a guest knocking at the door. The more you try to keep the door shut, the harder they knock. When you open the door, they come in and then leave on their own. No emotion lasts long when it is seen with awareness. You can begin your journey of understanding emotions with 3 very simple steps that are more powerful than they appear. Step 1. Name the emotion. When you quietly say, "This is sadness," "This is worry," You immediately step out of the emotional whirlpool and stand in the place of the observer. With just one sentence, your mind has a bit more space to breathe. Step 2. Notice the sensations in the body. A spreading heat in your chest, a tightness in your throat, a heavy feeling in your stomach. Observe them like a scientist recording a phenomenon. No commentary, no conclusion, just seeing. Step 3. Let the emotion fade on its own. No forcing, no chasing, no fixing. In just a few minutes, the emotion will begin to change form. Strong, then soft. Sharp, then faint. And finally, it dissolves back into the quiet background already inside you. According to research from UCLA, when a person names their emotion, activity in the amygdala, the brain region linked to fear and stress responses, drops immediately. The mind becomes less panicked and the body is released. Buddhist teachings call this mindfulness. Science calls it emotional regulation. Both point to the same truth. Understanding your emotions is the only way to stop being afraid of them. When you know how to observe without judgment, your sleep becomes much deeper. Many people are not sleepless because of their emotions, but because they judge their emotions. Why am I still sad? Why can't I just get over it? Why am I worried all the time? All you need to do is place your hand on your chest, soften your breath, and say quietly, "This is sadness passing through. This is worry passing through." Like the sound of the bell in the mist. It rings, then fades. You don't have to force it to stop. It stops on its own when you no longer resist. When you know how to observe without judgment, a new door opens in your inner life. The door of acceptance. But acceptance in Zen is not surrender. Acceptance is wisdom. It is recognizing that an emotion is knocking and saying, "Hello, fear. I see you." And that very acceptance reveals something important. Emotions do not come to destroy you. They come to help you understand yourself. From here, the next story will lead you into an even deeper layer of meaning. Accepting emotions, not to endure them, but to be freed from them. In life, many people are deeply afraid of the word acceptance. They believe that accepting means being weak. Accepting means giving up. Accepting means letting everything go however it wants. Because of this misunderstanding, they choose the opposite path, resisting, tensing up, trying to control, forcing the mind to stand straight, even when the inside is falling apart. Whenever a painful emotion appears, sadness, anger, worry, feeling hurt, an automatic reaction rises up. This must not be happening. I already know better, and I'm still sad. I'm useless. I have to be strong. I can't be weak. Yet the more they brace, the more exhausted the mind becomes. The more they scold themselves, the deeper the wound goes. The more they treat emotions as the enemy, the more those emotions keep coming back to knock on the door. In the teachings, the masters do not teach people to run away from emotions, nor do they teach surrendering to emotions. They teach mindfulness and acceptance, seeing the emotion clearly, calling it by its true name, opening the door for it to step in like a guest, not clinging to it and not pushing it away, not putting it on a pedestal and not demonizing it. Acceptance, in the light of the Buddha's teachings, is not surrendering to fate, but the wisdom of seeing reality just as it is. And to shed light on this, let's listen to the next story about a student who spent many years fighting himself before he learned to say one simple sentence. Hello, fear. I see you. In the hills of Naharun, where ancient trees wove their branches into natural domes, there was a small monastery hidden in stillness. There lived a young disciple named Saryon. From childhood, Saryon had been taught that he had to be strong, must not cry, must not be sad, must not be afraid. Every time he felt his heart sink, he blamed himself. Every time worry arose, he felt ashamed, as if it were a personal failure. To Saryon, emotions were not something to understand. They were something to destroy. As he grew older, tired of being at war with himself, Saryon came to the monastery, hoping to wipe out all weak emotions. In their first meeting, he knelt before Master Heijoro, a Zen master known for eyes that were gentle yet unfathomably deep. Saryon spoke, his voice full of determination and exhaustion. Master, I want to practice so I will no longer be sad, no longer afraid, no longer angry. I want to uproot all of these emotions. The master looked at him for a long time and gently asked, Why do you want to cut them off completely? Saryon answered immediately, Because they make me suffer. I want to be strong, peaceful, unshaken. The master smiled. So you've come here to fight yourself? Saryon was confused, but for many months he kept practicing the same way he always had. Whenever sadness appeared, he clenched his fists and tried to push it away. When worry spoke up, he shouted silently, Shut up. When a memory made his heart ache, he immediately slammed the door of his mind shut. One winter night, after evening meditation, the master called Saryon to the meditation hall. Tonight, you have something to do. Go to the last room at the end of the east corridor. There is a guest inside who has been locked up for a long time. Open the door for that guest. Saryon's heart tightened. Everyone at the monastery knew that room was always locked. People avoided it. There were rumors of strange sounds coming from inside. Yet Saryon still took the old key and walked down the long, dark corridor. The oil lamps flickered and cold wind slipped through the cracks in the doors. When he reached the door, he stopped. From inside came vague sounds, heavy breathing, the sound of someone quietly sobbing. A part of him wanted to run away, but the master's words echoed in his mind. In the room you are most afraid to open, there is a part of the truth you most need to meet. Saryon's hands trembled as he put the key into the lock. The door opened with a long creak, like a sigh. Inside, there was no monster, no ghost, nothing like what he had imagined. There was only a small figure curled up in the corner of the room. That figure looked exactly like Saryon, only smaller, more fragile, eyes wet and shaking with fear. Saryon stepped back, terrified. "Who are you?" The figure answered in a trembling voice. "I am your fear. You've locked me in here for many years. Sarian reacted at once. I don't need you. I practice to destroy you. Fear lowered its head. Its voice choked. Every time I knocked on the door of your heart, you slammed it shut. Every time I appeared, you cursed me, called me useless, called me weak. You thought I came to ruin your path, but I only came to tell you that some part inside is hurting and needs to be seen. Sarian froze. Fear continued. I'm only a signal. It's your act of locking me away that twisted me into this shape. The longer you lock me up, the louder I have to scream to be seen. Right then, Sarian heard the master's voice in his mind. Try accepting instead of resisting. For the first time, Sarian sat down in front of fear. He didn't run, didn't shout, didn't fight. He placed his hand on his chest, took a deep breath, and said, Hello, fear. I see you. In that very moment, the curled-up figure began to fade like a wisp of smoke. The room suddenly felt lighter, brighter. Fear smiled. I am not your enemy. I only waited for you to acknowledge me. When you accept me, I no longer need to stay. And fear disappeared. The room returned to silence. But inside Sarian, a new door had opened. He realized he did not need to fight his emotions. He only needed to see them. The next morning, Sarian went to see the master. He bowed his head without saying a word, but his eyes had changed, softer, deeper, no longer carrying the same heavy weight. The master asked, How was the guest in that room? Sarian replied, Not as frightening as I thought. He just wanted to be seen and heard. The master nodded. That is the nature of every emotion. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is understanding that emotions are only messengers. If you drive them away, you drive away the message they carry. From Sarian's story, we can clearly see the deep Zen meaning of the word acceptance. Acceptance is not giving up. Giving up is letting emotions lead you blindly, not looking, not learning, not growing. Acceptance is looking directly, not running away, not denying, not adding or subtracting. Giving up says, I guess I just have to live with this. Acceptance says, this is what is here right now. I see it clearly. Emotions are messengers, not destroyers. Fear comes to tell you that some part inside feels unsafe, lacks trust, or is missing support. Sadness comes to tell you that something hasn't been cried for, hasn't been grieved, hasn't been properly said goodbye to. Anger comes to tell you that a boundary has been crossed, that a value has not been respected. When you see them as destroyers, you lose the chance to understand yourself. When you see them as messengers, you begin to learn the language of your own inner world. Acceptance is opening the door, not inviting emotions to stay forever. Opening the door does not mean inviting the guest to move in for life. Opening the door simply means letting the guest step in, see their face, listen to them, and then let them go once you've understood the message they brought. Like a letter carrying important news. If you never open it, the receiver will be confused, not knowing what they are facing. Emotions are the letter. Acceptance is opening the letter to read. Modern psychology calls acceptance a foundation of healing. In many therapeutic approaches, people are not encouraged to keep fighting their emotions, but are invited to sit down beside their fear Name it, recognize it, and accept that. It is here, and I am still safe in this moment. When that happens, the nervous system relaxes. The heartbeat slows. The brain no longer treats the emotion as a threat, but as data to be observed. From Sarian's story and the locked room, we can draw very practical applications for daily life. When an emotion comes, try replacing, "Why am I like this?" with, "Oh, so this emotion is here." The question why often drags us into cycles of analysis and self-blame. The phrase "oh so" helps us stand in the role of witness. Instead of saying, "I must not be afraid," say, "Fear is here, and it has come to tell me something." This way of speaking opens a new door, listening instead of suppressing. Be gentle with yourself when emotions arise. In the teachings on compassion, the Buddha never taught people to curse their own inner world. He taught them to look at it with understanding. Self-harshness does not make a person stronger. It only drives the wound deeper. One study by psychologists shows that people who can receive their emotions with a gentle, non-judgmental attitude have lower stress levels and recover more quickly after difficult events. That is the power of acceptance, not weakness. When you accept, you end the war inside yourself. But to go further on the path of healing, one more element is needed: compassion for yourself. Because the harsher you are with yourself, the more intense your emotions become. Compassion is the medicine of healing. The message echoed by ancient Zen masters like Master Noshiro. Being harsh with yourself is a double-edged sword. Being kind to yourself is the doorway to peace. Next, the story will move to a deeper level. Not only accepting your emotions, but also holding yourself like a loving mother cradling a child who is trembling with fear. In life, people often learn how to be gentle with others, yet they very easily become harsh with themselves. A small mistake is enough to trigger self-blame. A moment of sadness is enough to invite self-scolding. A single moment of weakness is enough to be seen as a failure. Sometimes you can say very kind words to others. It's okay. Everyone goes through this. But when you yourself make a mistake, you speak to your own heart with heavy words. Why are you so useless? This isn't worth being sad about. So weak. It's strange. A person can be generous with the whole world, but be the most severe toward the very soul that carries them through life. And it is that harshness that makes emotions grow more intense. Like a small wound that is scratched open, it will tear wider. Emotions are the same. The more they are forced into silence, the more chaotic they become. The teachings of the ancient Zen masters contain a saying that is soft as water, yet sharp as a mirror. Being harsh with yourself is a double-edged sword. Being kind to yourself is the doorway to peace. To understand this deeply, let's listen to the next story about a disciple who spent many years living in the shadow of self-blame and finally discovered the healing power of compassion toward himself. On the slopes of Mount Fushika, among old pine trees whispering in the wind, there was an ancient monastery that had survived countless seasons of rain and snow. In that monastery lived a young disciple named Caden. Diligent, hardworking, and always wanting everything to be perfect. To Caden, even a small mistake felt like a dark cloud covering the entire sky inside him. One morning, while preparing tea, Caden accidentally dropped the monastery's ancient ceremonial pot. Even though that precious vessel shattered on the floor, the Zen master did not scold him at all. But Caden could not forgive himself. For many days, he avoided everyone, could not eat in peace, could not sleep well, and when he sat in meditation, his mind felt like a block of stone. Inside him, a cold belief repeated itself. I am incompetent. I am weak. I don't deserve to be here. One night, as the mountain wind moved through the pine trees sounding like the sighs of heaven and earth, Caden sat silently in the courtyard, his eyes heavy. Master Noshiro walked over, sat down beside him, and asked in a warm, steady voice, "Why have you been punishing yourself for so long?" Caden lowered his head. "Because I broke something precious belonging to the monastery. I was wrong. I should punish myself." The master looked toward the forest. Moonlight fell on an old pine that had once been struck by lightning. Its bark was split open, the inner wood exposed like a wound that had not fully healed. "Do you see that tree?" the master asked. "Yes, master." The master continued. "It was struck by lightning. It hurt. It was damaged. But do you see this?" Caden looked more closely. Beneath the ugly crack, a small pine shoot was pushing out, green and resilient. The master smiled. "It doesn't blame itself for being struck. It doesn't punish itself for being broken. It simply keeps living. And it is that very continuation that heals what was hurt." Caden fell silent. The master spoke again, his voice gentle but sinking into the heart like water into dry earth. "You are like that tree. You think self-blame will make you grow. But self-blame is never medicine. It only drives the wound deeper. When you fight against your own mistakes, you suffer twice. But when you learn to hold yourself, like a mother holds a crying child, you begin to understand that mistakes are simply a normal part of the path of learning." The master picked up a dry pine branch and handed it to Caden. "Plant this branch in the soil. Even though it is dry, the earth will still receive it, because the earth knows that whatever returns to itself still has the possibility to sprout." Caden held the branch in his hands, and for the first time in many days, tears fell, not from fear, not from shame, but because he had just touched something he had never dared to give himself: gentleness. Caden's story reveals 3 subtle layers of meaning in the Buddha's teachings, truths that modern people easily forget. Harshness does not create strength. It creates invisible wounds. Caden believed that blaming himself would help him grow. But like many people in the world, he did not realize that being harsh with himself only made his heart shrink, his willpower drain away, and his self-confidence crack piece by piece. In Zen, this is called anger toward oneself, a quiet form of self-harm that leaves people exhausted before they have a chance to truly change. 2. Compassion for yourself is not self-indulgence, it is wisdom. Gentleness does not mean ignoring mistakes. It means looking directly at the wound without beating it up. Compassion says, "I see you are hurting. I will help you heal, not punish you." When a person learns to treat themselves kindly, their inner world softens, their breath deepens, and from there, real and lasting change can begin. No one becomes truly strong by hating themselves. 3. Every crack in the heart is a place where light can enter. The pine tree Caden saw did not collapse after being struck by lightning. The crack in its trunk actually opened a path for a small green shoot to reach the light. Human beings are the same. A crack is not proof of failure. It is where wisdom starts to rise. Modern psychology has confirmed what Zen masters have known for centuries. People who can comfort and accept themselves during stressful times have lower cortisol levels, their nervous systems recover faster, and they can make clearer decisions. That is why self-compassion is not weakness. It is one of the deepest healing capacities a person can have. From Caden's story, we can draw some simple practical steps that carry great healing power. When you make a mistake, don't scold yourself. Ask instead, what do I need right now? Some people need a long exhale. Some people need to be listened to. Some people need a gentle inner embrace. Some people simply need to be forgiven by themselves. Instead of saying, "Why are you so weak?" try saying, "I know, I'm really tired right now." Just that shift in tone is enough to soften the wound. Learn to see emotions as crying children. A child doesn't cry to be annoying. They cry because they need someone's arms. Emotions are the same. They cry out only to remind us that something inside needs to be touched, needs to be heard. Practice whispering healing words to yourself. Zen masters often teach 3 simple yet powerful sentences. I know this emotion is here. I am not fighting you. You are safe here. These 3 sentences are like opening the door to a lost child coming home. Once seen and understood, the emotion naturally softens and steps aside, leaving you with a deeper, quiet space inside. Emotions do not define who you are. Anger does not turn anyone into a bad person. Sadness does not turn anyone into a weak person. Emotions simply come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. You are not the clouds. You are the wide sky that watches them. In life, many people live with a quiet belief that almost no one names out loud. If I'm angry, it means I'm a bad person. If I'm sad, I must be weak. If I'm worried, I must be useless and lack faith. Just one surge of emotion rises up, and people immediately rush to put a label on themselves. An outburst of anger in a moment of exhaustion is instantly interpreted as, I'm hot-tempered and unlikable. A sadness that lingers after a loss is seen as, I'm someone who doesn't know how to move on. But the Buddha's teachings have never taught that. Emotions are just arising and passing phenomena, like clouds moving across the sky, waves rolling over the surface of the sea, wind blowing over a hill. They come and go. They are not anyone's true self. What forms a person's character is not. Do they ever get angry? But rather, when they are angry, what do? Not. Do they ever feel sad? But rather, in that sadness, do they learn anything? Do they become softer toward life and toward others? Emotions are like waves. A human being is the sea beneath them. But when they forget that, people start to condemn themselves. I am the wave. I am the gray cloud. To shed light on this, let's move to the next story about a young novice who once thought he was a bad person just because of one moment of anger, until he learned what it means to stand in the position of the observer. Long ago, in a remote mountain region where terraced fields curved along the hillsides and ancient forests cast deep shade, there was a small monastery called Shinraku. The monastery was peaceful, but inside the young novice Larith there was always an invisible battle. Larith was so afraid of being judged that he constantly tried to maintain a perfectly calm appearance, never allowing anyone to see him angry or vulnerable. Just one misdirected look was enough to make him restless for days. One afternoon, after work practice, he was tasked with carrying a tray of bowls down to the kitchen. On the tray was an old ceramic bowl, no longer beautiful, but a keepsake from a monk who had passed away, considered a treasured object. Lareth walked while his mind drifted into vague thoughts. At the steps, his foot slipped. The tray tilted. The ceramic bowl fell onto the stone floor and shattered into pieces. The sound was sharp and cold, like the tip of a knife. A novice standing nearby laughed and teased. "Well, even the purest one in the monastery can break things, huh?" It was just a joke. But for someone already full of fear of being laughed at, it was like a needle piercing the softest place. A heat flared up in his chest. Lareth's face flushed red. He lost control and shouted, "What are you laughing at? If you're so great, try doing it better yourself." His voice rang out so sharply that a few people in the courtyard turned to look. The other novice froze, said nothing, and quietly walked away. The moment the shout faded from the air, the anger faded with it. What remained in Lareth's heart was something heavy and cold. Shame, disappointment, the feeling of being awful. All evening he refused to eat and sat alone behind the courtyard. In his mind, accusations kept echoing. It's over. Years of practice just to explode like an ordinary worldly person. Someone like me. How dare I stay in this monastery? One burst of anger is enough to reveal my true nature. Night fell. Wind slipped through the bamboo. Dry leaves rustled on the ground. Lareth curled up, partly from the cold, partly from self-hatred. At that moment, Zen Master Aram, the abbot whose footsteps were as light as early summer rain, came over and stood quietly beside him, looking at the broken pieces of the bowl still lying there in the moonlight. After a long silence, the master asked gently, "Who broke the bowl?" Lareth lowered his head. "I did." "Who shouted at your fellow novice?" "That was me too." The master nodded slightly. "And now, what is in your heart?" Lareth whispered. "Shame, anger at myself, and the thought that I'm a terrible person." The master picked up a shard of the broken bowl and turned it in the moonlight. "Do you see this shard as the entire bowl?" "No, it's only one part. Your burst of anger is just like this shard. It's one part of your experience, but it is never the whole of who you are." The master set the shard down and looked straight into Lareth's eyes. "Do you want to become someone who never gets angry, or someone who can look directly at their anger and learn from it?" Lareth didn't answer. Inside his chest, another kind of confusion opened up, but together with it, a small bit of light. The master continued. Someone who never gets angry might be a stone statue. You are a person of flesh and blood, with a heart that has been hurt before, with old fears. That flash of anger just told you that inside you there is a very deep fear. The fear of being laughed at, of being seen as not good enough. The anger didn't come to condemn you. It came to knock on the door and say, "There is a wound here. Please look at it." Then the master said, "Tomorrow, go to the fellow novice you shouted at. You don't need to justify or explain. Just say, 'Yesterday, there was a burst of anger in me. I'm sorry I shouted at you. Because of that, I can see there is a very deep fear inside me of being judged.' That is how you grow, not by erasing emotions, but by seeing through them." A light breeze moved across the courtyard. Inside Lareth, a space opened up. The anger from that afternoon had already passed. The shame softened. What was left was a very clear realization. Emotions are just visiting guests. They are not his identity card. The story at Shinraku Monastery reveals several very important points on the path of practice and healing. Emotions are phenomena, not a life sentence. Anger is just a state of energy. Sadness is just a wave passing through the heart. Worry is just a movement of the mind in front of the unknown. They appear and disappear, just like the in-breath and out-breath. When you identify yourself with an emotion, "I am a hot-tempered person. I am a weak person," you lock yourself into a narrow definition and forget an entire wide inner sky. True quality lies in the ability to observe and transform. A person can feel anger, but if they can stop, recognize it, apologize, learn, and grow, that is someone walking the path of awakening. A person who never gets angry because they avoid, suppress, and deny it is simply building a dark room in their mind where everything is locked away, waiting for the day it explodes. In Zen, what matters is not never having emotions, but when emotions arise, do you see them? Once you see them, do you learn anything from them? I am the observer, no longer being swept away. When Lareth was invited to see his anger as just a shard of the bowl, not the whole person, he began to stand in the position of the observer. The observer can see, "Ah, there is anger in my heart. Ah, there is fear of being judged inside me." In that moment, the mind is no longer the anger itself, but the awareness shining its light on that anger. That is the doorway into mindfulness. In daily life, people easily condemn themselves over just one moment. Snapping at a loved one, losing their temper with their children, breaking down in tears in front of someone. After that comes a whole chain of self-accusation. I am a bad person. I'm too weak. I don't deserve anyone. But if you look through the lens of the Buddha's teachings, you can change the way you talk to yourself. Just now was only a wave of anger passing through. Just now was only a wave of sadness passing through. I am responsible for correcting my mistakes, but I am not the mistake itself. Psychology also shows that people who can separate themselves from their emotions For example, saying, "I am going through a period of sadness," instead of, "I am a sad person." Recover from emotional wounds more quickly and are less likely to fall into cycles of self-condemnation and depression. The Buddha's teaching on non-self also touches this point. A human being is not a fixed me, but a continuous flow of body, mind, emotions, and perceptions. If you take one emotional moment as your true nature, you are misunderstanding yourself. In practice, you can begin with 3 very simple steps. 1. When a strong emotion appears, name it. This is anger. This is sadness. This is hurt. 2. Remind yourself, this emotion is moving through me, but it is not me. 3. Gently ask, what is the message of this emotion? What is it showing me is not okay inside? In this way, instead of using emotions to condemn yourself, you can use them to understand yourself. When you realize that emotions do not define who you are, a new space opens inside, a space for curiosity, observation, and learning. You no longer need to run away from your inner shadows. The ancients said that Zen master Eldrin once remarked, "A shadow is only frightening when you turn your back on it." Emotions are the same. When you turn away, they become a haunting presence. When you turn toward them, with mindfulness, with a calm and honest gaze, they lose their overwhelming power. Wisdom comes from stopping the running. From the moment a person has enough courage to face their emotions, look straight at them and see that behind every wave, there is always the still surface of the sea. In life, there's a very strange paradox. The more we avoid what hurts us, the bigger that pain becomes. The more we run away from an emotion, the more that emotion chases us. Many people believe that not facing it is a way to avoid being hurt. But in reality, it is the avoidance itself that becomes the deep pit that exhausts the mind. The ancients used to say, "A shadow is only frightening when you turn your back on it." Zen master Eldrin often reminded people of this. A shadow of your own, when you turn and face it, immediately softens under the light. But when you run away, it stretches long, distorts, and follows right behind you, making each step more and more tiring. Emotions are the same. A sadness that is denied turns into an underground stream building up inside. A fear that is avoided turns into a creature in the dark, ready to jump out at any moment. An anger you don't dare look at directly will smolder and eventually push you into an outburst on the most unexpected day. If you look with mindfulness, emotions are just gentle waves. If you are afraid and turn away, they become a storm. To make this clear, let us move to an old story that took place in the Ranura Mountains, where a young monk had to face the very fear he had avoided his whole life. Long ago, in the Ranura mountain region, where morning fog covered the rocky slopes in white, and at night you could always hear the wind howling along the cliffs, there was an old monastery called Aldamora. In that monastery lived a young monk named Sarian, gentle and diligent, but carrying an unspoken obsession, a fear of the dark. As soon as evening began to fall, Sarian's heart would pound, his hands turn cold, and his breathing become fast and shallow. No one knew what his past was like. They only saw that every time there was evening walking meditation, Sarian always tried to walk very close to others and avoided being the last one. One night, Zen Master Eldrin, the abbot of Aldemora, called Syrian in. "Tonight," the master said, "you will go down to the valley at the foot of the mountain. In the old abandoned shrine, there is a bronze bell. Strike it 3 times and bring the wooden striker back to the monastery." Syrian's face went pale. "It is very dark down there, master." The master only replied quietly, "It is precisely because it is dark that you need to go." Unable to disobey, Syrian took an oil lamp and started down the misty path. The last light of day slowly receded from the back of the mountain, leaving a faint purple that gradually sank into night. The path down into the valley wound around the slope, lined on both sides with ancient trees like pillars holding up the sky. The wind whistled through the branches, creating a sound like a distant call. Halfway down, the fog suddenly thickened. The flame in Syrian's lamp flickered constantly. He wanted to turn back, but the master's words held his feet in place like a thin but unbreakable cord. As he neared the shrine, the flame abruptly went out. Darkness rose up as quickly as rising water. In that moment, his familiar fear didn't just appear. It surged up violently like a beast that had been caged for too long. Syrian's heart tightened. Cold sweat soaked his back. From somewhere deep in the darkness, he heard a faint sound, like something being dragged along the ground. Syrian's feet felt nailed to the stone. The darkness in front of him seemed thick, almost as if it had a shape. Then an old memory suddenly flooded back. When Syrian was a child, a great storm had collapsed the roof of his house. He had been trapped in the dark, hearing his parents calling his name in panic. That fear had clung to him like a shadow for many years. For a moment, Syrian just wanted to run, but his feet would not move. It felt as if the darkness wanted to swallow him whole. In that moment, a sentence he had once heard from Master Eldrin quietly arose. "You are afraid of the dark because you have never stood still and looked into it." Syrian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His heart was still pounding, but this time, he did not run. He placed his hand on his chest and felt the fear surging up, no longer as a monster, but as a powerful wave. He opened his eyes. He looked straight into the darkness. The sound from before was only a rotten branch falling onto the shrine roof. The shrine was small, empty, and not frightening at all. The monsters Syrian had imagined had never existed. They were all projections of his own fear. Syrian stepped into the shrine and found the old bronze bell. 3 bell strikes rang out through the valley, deep, clear, and peaceful. When Syrian returned, Master Eldran was standing in the courtyard, waiting with a gentle smile. "What did you see in the dark?" the master asked. Syrian answered, his voice sounding as if he had just put down a huge stone. "I only saw my own mind, master. I wasn't afraid of the darkness. I was afraid of my own fear." The master nodded. "You cannot defeat darkness by running away from it. Only when you turn back and look straight at it does the shadow lose its power. No darkness has ever chased you. Only you have been running away from yourself." That night, Syrian understood something important. Fear only grows large when we turn our backs on it. Once we stand still and look into it, it is nothing more than empty space. The story in the Ranura Valley is not only about Syrian, it is a mirror reflecting the journey of almost all of us. Because in life, what frightens people is often not the actual situation, but what the mind projects onto that situation. Syrian was not afraid of the dark. He was afraid of his memories, afraid of the imagined images his mind had carried for too long. In Zen, this is called mental images, forms that are not real, but powerful enough to make the mind tremble. When we do not dare to look directly, we become trapped in those images. The more we run, the bigger they grow. The more we avoid them, the more they stain our thoughts like shadows stretching endlessly. But when Syrian stood still, placed his hand on his chest, and looked straight into the darkness, something strange happened. The darkness no longer threatened him. It was just darkness. Nothing more, nothing less. Wisdom does not come from running away. Wisdom arises in the moment we stop and observe. Anger, fear, sadness are not enemies. They are simply guests who come to knock on the door and tell us that something inside needs care. Every time we run, we give our emotions power. Every time we stop, we take that power back. Mindfulness is the light that dissolves darkness. When Syrian stood still, the darkness lost its grip on him. When we stand still in mindfulness, emotions are the same. They soften like smoke, light enough to make us wonder why we were ever so afraid of them. In life, most pain does not come from external situations, but from the way we avoid the truth lying in our own hearts. Some people are so afraid of being lonely that they rush into relationships that are not right for them. Some are so afraid of failure that they do not dare to take even one small step. Some are so afraid of being abandoned that they accept things they do not deserve just to avoid facing the emptiness inside. The more we run, the bigger our worries become. The more we flee, the more violent our fears grow. And only when we stop and face them directly can the mind begin to be freed. Modern psychology calls this process exposure. Deliberate and safe contact with the very thing we fear. When we do this, the brain gradually records an important truth. There is nothing dangerous here. Activity in the brain regions that generate fear responses decreases, the body becomes more stable, and the mind begins to open. This matches what the Buddha taught long ago. When you see clearly, fear ends. Mindfulness is the light that lets us see clearly. That light shines into the very place we have avoided for so long. And when the light appears, darkness does not need to be fought. It dissolves on its own. Before sleep, many minds are still running, avoiding thinking about what makes them sad, avoiding remembering what hurt them, avoiding facing their real feelings from the day. And the more they avoid, the more the mind fills up. The night becomes harder to sleep through. The body grows more tense. Zen masters often guide a small practice. 1. Lie still. 2. Take 3 deep breaths. 3. Gently ask your own mind, today, what have I been running away from? 4. When an image appears, do not judge it. 5. Just look. 6. Silently say inside, I am looking directly at this. I am peaceful enough to stay with it. When you dare to look into an emotion, it melts like mist in sunlight. When the mind is no longer running away, sleep comes lightly, like a leaf falling onto the surface of a lake. When you understand that darkness is only frightening when you turn your back on it, you begin to step into a deeper stage of practice, looking directly into the truth of the mind. Zen Master Eldrin once said, "The breath is a place to take refuge. The body is the map that shows where emotions live. When you stop running away, you will see transformation arise naturally from within." Meditation practice is not about becoming a person without emotions, but about seeing clearly the roots of every emotion, the place where wisdom begins to open like dawn after a long night in which you finally stopped running. In life, many people ask, how can I understand myself better? How can I stop being dragged around by my emotions? How can my mind be less tangled, less chaotic, less painful? Most of the answers people usually hear are, just think more positively. Stay busier so you don't have time to think. Change your environment. Change your job. Change your relationships. But strangely, no matter how many external things they change, at some point, the old emotions still come back. It's like a room where the furniture has been rearranged, but the dust under the bed is still there. Meditation is not a technique for decorating the surface of the mind. Meditation is the act of sitting down, lighting a lamp, and clearly seeing what is happening inside. In meditation practice, the breath becomes a place of refuge. The body becomes an honest map that shows where fear is lying, where the knots of sadness, anger, and hurt feelings are hiding. When you stop running away, when you stop forcing yourself to just think about something else, you begin to see something very strange. Beneath all the layers of agitation, there is a very quiet place. And it is from that quiet place that transformation begins. On the Surian Plateau, where the hills stretch out like waves asleep under a silver misted sky, there is a small meditation monastery called Hokurin. Life there is so quiet, you can hear the sound of the wind slicing through the treetops. And it is there that a young disciple named Ryan arrived, carrying many years of anxiety, panic, and recurring tightness in his chest. Ryan was quick, intelligent, and capable, but his mind was always like a string pulled to its limit. Just a small sound at night was enough to make his whole body jump. His chest would tighten, his stomach clench, his throat feel blocked as if a stone were lodged there. He had tried everything: reading, listening to music, forcing himself to think positively, even trying to push his worries away with self-soothing phrases. But the more he pushed his emotions away, the more they came back with greater force. Ryan carried a hope when he came to Hokurin. Meditation will teach me how to have no emotions at all. One afternoon, after sitting meditation, Ryan came to see the abbot, Master Artheon. "I want to learn how to shut down all thoughts and emotions," Ryan said. "Please teach me, Master." Artheon looked at him, eyes gentle but not indulgent. "Why do you want to shut them down?" the master asked. Because they exhaust me, Ryan replied. Every time I'm anxious, my heart feels like it's about to explode. I just want peace. I want to have no emotions at all. The master gently shook his head. You are misunderstanding, he said. Meditation does not make the mind dead. Meditation helps the mind live fully, but without letting it drag you away like a fast, violent current. Seeing that Ryan still did not quite grasp it, the master continued. Tonight, sit alone in the meditation hall. You don't need to force yourself to think positively. You don't need to push anxiety away. Just do 3 things. What 3 things, master? First, place your hand on your chest, exactly where you usually feel short of breath. Second, breathe slowly and evenly. Just observe the sensation of your chest rising and falling. Third, when anxiety appears, do not fight it. Invite it to sit down next to you, like a guest coming to visit. Ryan did not fully understand, but he followed the instructions. That night, the meditation hall was wide and empty, with only the soft sound of the wind sliding through the cracks in the doors. The lamplight was dim. The cushion was cold. Ryan sat down, hand on his chest, back straight but not tense. Immediately, his mind bolted off like a wild horse. What if I can't sleep again tonight? What if I never get free from anxiety for the rest of my life? But this time, Ryan did not try to chase the thoughts away. He remembered the master's words. Let them sit down. Ryan inhaled very slowly, exhaled very slowly. His only point of attention was the feeling under his hand, where his chest was rhythmically moving up and down. Not long after, the familiar anxiety rose up, like a dark wave. His chest tightened. His heart pounded. His body wanted to jump up and run out of the hall. The old reflex shouted in his head, Stop worrying! Stop it! But Ryan caught himself in time, and in the silence, a small sentence arose, gentle like a voice from far away. All right. Anxiety can stay here. I will breathe with it. Ryan continued to observe the sensations in his chest. Each tightening felt like an alarm bell. It was not pleasant, but it no longer felt like a storm that wanted to swallow him whole. After a long while, Ryan realized something he had never clearly seen in all those years. Anxiety is not his whole being. It is only a movement in the body, and that movement changes as the breath changes. After nearly an hour of sitting like that, an hour without trying to chase anxiety away, Ryan walked out of the meditation hall with a completely new feeling. The anxiety was still there, but it was no longer a monster chasing him from behind. It felt more like a crying child, and the breath was the friend standing next to it, quietly staying by its side. The next morning, Master Artheon asked, What did you see when you sat with your anxiety? Ryan replied, I saw emotions are not in the head, they are in the body, and when I breathe with them, they soften. The master smiled. That's right. The breath is a place of refuge. The body is the map. When you directly observe what is happening in the body, the mind stops making up so many stories. And in that moment, you step into the doorway of wisdom, not book knowledge, but wisdom that comes from real experience. Ryan's story is a very clear image of the essence of meditation practice. First, Meditation is not about erasing emotions, but about clearly seeing where and how emotions are happening without adding or subtracting anything. In Buddhist teachings, this is the practice of contemplating body, feelings, and mind. Contemplating the body. How is the emotion showing up in the body? How is the heart beating? How is the stomach tightening? Where is the throat constricting? Contemplating feelings. How are pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral sensations arising? Contemplating mind. In that moment, is the mind being driven by greed, anger, or ignorance? Or is it present, awake, and spacious? Second, when you use the breath as a refuge, you have a fixed point to return to whenever emotions rise. Like someone on a rough sea being able to hold onto the side of a boat, the breath helps the mind avoid being swallowed. Third, the body really is the map of the mind. Many psychological and neuroscience studies show that each emotion has a familiar area of expression in the body. Anxiety often tightens the chest, fear in the belly. Anger brings heat to the face and hands. Sadness makes the body feel heavy. Meditation does not deny these expressions. It teaches people to come back and listen to them, to understand the message behind them. When you stop running away, you begin to notice something. Emotions are always changing. If you can sit with them long enough without quickly judging, you will witness that transformation through your own experience. This is the wisdom of impermanence. Not something forced into you, but something your own mind sees directly. In a busy life, you do not actually need to sit for many hours to begin to see change. You only need a few moments each day of truly coming back to your breath and your body. When you are angry, instead of jumping straight into an argument, you can pause for a few breaths, place your hand on your belly, and breathe slowly. Notice where the anger is heating up. Feel it as a wave of energy without labeling anyone as bad in that moment, neither the other person nor yourself. When you are anxious, instead of immediately running to every worst-case scenario in your head, you can sit still for 3 minutes just to see what anxiety is doing in your body. Is your chest tightening or your throat closing? Simply accept, right now, anxiety is here, and then breathe with it. When you are sad, instead of forcing yourself to distract, to eat, to scroll your phone to forget, you can gently let sadness sit down. Feel how heavy your shoulders are, how your eyes burn. Softly hold yourself with a deep breath. Modern psychology is now coming very close to meditation practice. Many therapy methods invite clients to bring their attention down into the body, identify emotion zones, and breathe into them. When they do this, the nervous system naturally shifts from fight or flight into rest and restore. This matches the teachings of the Buddha and the Zen masters. Mindful breathing is the bridge between a mind in chaos and a body crying out for help before sleep. One of the main reasons people cannot rest is not the tiredness of the body, but the fact that the mind has not been listened to. During the day, you may have been angry at someone but swallowed it, been hurt by someone's words but acted as if everything was fine, worried about tomorrow but pretended, I'm okay. At night, all of these come back together, exactly when you turn off the light and want to rest. This is a beautiful time to practice meditation in a gentle, simple way. No need for anything complicated. When you lie down, you can place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. Gently ask, today, what emotion is still left inside that hasn't been seen? If an image, a sentence, or a face appears, don't push it away. Just invite it to sit down next to your breath, as Ryan did in the meditation hall. You can quietly say, sadness, you are here. Anger, you are here. Anxiety, you are here. Then breathe with them. No need to analyze much. No need to replay the whole story. Just allow your body to fully feel what is present so that those emotions have a chance to transform naturally. When that happens, sleep is no longer an escape from emotions, but becomes part of the healing process. The night is no longer a dark curtain thrown over a tense mind, but a light blanket covering a heart that is slowly being understood. When you practice meditation long enough, you begin to realize something very important. Emotions do not show up to destroy you. They carry a function, a purpose. Anger is not just a fire that burns everything. It is an alarm bell when a boundary has been crossed. Fear is not just a darkness that paralyzes. It is a reminder. Prepare more carefully. Sadness is not just a weight pulling you down. It is a quiet ritual to honor what was precious and has been lost. There is no emotion that is bad if you understand the message behind it. What is lacking is not a better personality, but deeper understanding, so that you no longer turn your back on the messengers knocking on your door. Every emotion has a protective function. When you see this, your attitude toward emotions changes completely, from fear and resistance to respect and listening. And from there, the path of inner transformation becomes much lighter. There is a question many people struggle to answer in their lifetime. Why do emotions come, and why are they so strong? People often think emotions come only to make them suffer. Anger ruins harmony. Fear paralyzes life. Sadness makes the body feel heavy, as if carrying stones. But the paradox is this: there is no emotion that comes to harm you. They come to protect, to warn, to remind, to help you look back at what has been forgotten. Anger is not a destroyer. It tells you your boundaries have been crossed. Fear is not a ghost. It reminds you to prepare. Sadness is not a bottomless pit. It is a ritual honoring what was precious and has gone. If you see emotions as enemies, you will fight them your whole life. But if you see them as messengers, only then can you truly listen and heal. To see this clearly, let us step into the story of a young disciple named Levan, who once hated his own anger and fear, until he encountered a teaching that completely changed the way he saw emotions. In the eastern mountains, where wooden rooftops are scattered along the hillsides and the night wind sounds like the forest whispering, there was a small village called Cairo. The village had an ancient tradition. Every family kept a drum. Whenever someone was in danger, they only had to strike 3 beats, and the whole neighborhood would immediately run to help. But Levan, a kind young man with a quick temper, never liked that drum. To him, its sound only brought chaos. Every time he heard someone strike 3 urgent beats, he would frown and think, "What now? Why can't they just handle it themselves?" One afternoon, after a heated argument with a friend, Levan got so angry that he went up the mountain alone to find some quiet. His anger made his face burn, his breath short, and his steps heavy as if he were carrying a boulder on his back. In his mind, only one belief kept repeating: anger destroys everything. It makes people ugly and out of control. On the rocky path, Levan came across Zen Master Rahan, who was sitting under an old pine tree. He sat so still it was as if the entire sky were slowly passing in front of him. Seeing Levan, the master asked gently, "Where are you going with a face that looks ready to catch fire?" Levan sighed. "I want to be free from anger. Anger only makes me worse. It has no value at all." Master Rahan looked at him for a long moment, then asked, "When you're angry, what do you feel in your body?" "My heart pounds, my shoulders are tight, my head feels hot," Levan answered immediately. "Then what is anger trying to say to you?" Levan was confused. "It's not saying anything. It just makes me lose my calm." The master didn't say anything more. He stood up and pointed toward the village. In the distance, the sound of a drum burst out in 3 urgent beats. People were running in the same direction. "You hear that, don't you?" the master asked. "Yes." "And do you hate that drum sound?" Levan didn't answer. Master Rahan spoke slowly, as if wanting each word to sink in. The drum was not created to bother anyone. It exists to signal danger. If you tell it to be silent, no one will know when someone is in trouble. And lives may be lost. He placed his hand on Levan's chest, right where it was pounding the hardest. "Your anger is a drum like that. It is saying that your boundary has just been crossed. If you hate it, cover your ears and force it to be quiet. You are only taking away your own chance to protect yourself." Levan stood there as if turned to stone. After a while, he asked, "Then, what about fear?" The master looked up at the sky, which was slowly turning purple with evening. "When night falls, you carry a lamp to walk. The light doesn't scare you. It guides you. Fear is the same. It reminds you to be careful, to prepare, to keep yourself safer." "And what about sadness?" The master bent down and picked up a yellow leaf that had just fallen from a branch. "Sadness is the farewell song for things that were once beautiful in your life. Like this leaf, when it falls from the branch, it reminds you of the season that is past. Sadness helps you treasure what is precious, so you don't live superficially." Hearing this, Levan's eyes stung. For years, he had treated his emotions like enemies, like smashing the village drum just because he didn't like its sound. When the mountain's shadow had completely covered the path back, Levan bowed his head before Master Rahan. "I understand now. No emotion comes to destroy me. I just never listened long enough to know what they were trying to say." The master smiled kindly. "When you walk into a burning house without knowing you're on fire, emotions are the ones pulling you out. When you are lost in the night, emotions are the small light guiding you home. From now on, See them as guests. Each one brings a message. Listen, then let them go when they have finished their task. Levon's story sounds like just a small slice of life, but in truth, it reflects the experience of many people. From childhood to adulthood, no one teaches us how to read our own emotions. No one tells us that anger, fear, and sadness all have protective roles, not destructive ones. In Buddhist teachings, all those movements belong to though, feeling. And feeling is not good or bad. It is simply a signal, like the drum that the people of Cairo strike 3 times when something is wrong. Anger is the first signal. It does not come to make you a worse person. It comes to say that some boundary has been crossed, or that you yourself have been ignoring a deep need inside. Fear is the second signal. It reminds you to slow down, prepare more carefully, observe more closely. Fear is not weakness. It is a survival instinct. Sadness is the third signal. It appears when something beautiful has gone. And sadness is what softens the heart, reminding you what truly matters. Modern psychology says the same thing. Emotions are vital signals of the brain, not trash, not something to throw away. If you read them correctly, they help you adapt, protect yourself, and grow stronger. But when you treat emotions as enemies, you usually do the opposite. Suppress, avoid, and try to act strong. And the more you push them down, the more forcefully they rise. Emotions don't disappear. They just go quiet and wait for a chance to explode more violently later. So the question is no longer, how can I stop feeling anything? But, how can I listen correctly to the signals that are trying to speak to me? Because sometimes the thing you are most afraid to feel is exactly the most important message waiting to be seen. In daily life, emotions don't just come and go. They leave signs, and if you are willing to listen, each one carries a very clear message. When you are angry, before blaming yourself for being hot-tempered, pause and ask, what boundary of mine was just crossed? It might be someone's lack of respect. It might also be that you yourself have stayed silent for too long, not saying what you truly need. Anger doesn't destroy. Anger illuminates your boundaries. When you are afraid, ask, what is this fear asking me to prepare for? Sometimes it is just a reminder to slow down, look more carefully, or prepare more thoroughly before stepping into something new. Fear doesn't make you weak. Fear helps you be careful. When you are sad, ask, what am I mourning? What was precious to me? Sadness is not pure darkness. It is a light shining on the place where your heart once laid down its love. Sadness makes a person deeper, not shallow. Neuroscience today also confirms what meditation has taught for thousands of years. When someone pauses for just a few seconds to name their emotion, the brain immediately shifts from a high-stress mode into a calmer state. Simply saying, this is anger. This is fear. This is sadness, is the first moment of transformation. The moment when the mind begins to lighten, and you become the observer instead of the one being swept away. When you understand that every emotion is a messenger, you no longer fight them, and then something remarkable happens. the peace that was always beneath the waves starts to appear on its own. As the Zen practitioner Orlin said, "When there is no more resistance, the lake does not need to do anything to be clear. It has always been clear." Next, we will step even deeper into this. Peace does not come from having no emotions, but from the ability to see through them. There are nights when all outside noise has gone quiet, and only your breath and the darkness remain. Yet the mind still refuses to rest. From the outside, anyone looking in might think, this person's life isn't that bad. But inside, emotions rise like waves. Regret, fear, hurt, resentment toward yourself, resentment toward others. The more you want peace, the more restless the mind becomes. The more you tell yourself, stop thinking, the more your head spins. The more you force yourself to just go to sleep, the wider your eyes stay open and the faster your heart beats. Many people believe only when emotions stop, when thoughts disappear, then I'll have peace. But the teachings point to the opposite. Peace is not found where there are no waves, but beneath all the waves that are rising and falling. The waves are emotions, the ocean is the mind. Waves can be high, strong, and noisy, but they never destroy the deep stillness of the ocean floor. The issue is not whether there are waves or not, but whether a person is mistaking themselves for the waves, or recognizing that they are the whole body of water beneath them. To see this clearly, let us walk through the next Zen story about a young disciple who was always swept away by his emotions until he learned how to see through his own layers of waves. On the slopes of Mount Aravan, there was an ancient monastery called Samorin, leaning against a pine forest and facing a vast lake. The locals called it Mirror of the Night Lake because on clear nights, its surface became so smooth it could reflect each star as if it were hanging just in front of your eyes. In that monastery lived a young disciple named Lagrin. Few knew that behind the calm appearance he always showed was an inner sea of emotions constantly in turmoil. From a young age, Lagrin had lived through one wound after another. A broken family, loved ones slowly leaving, long years of being misunderstood. No one saw any of this, but Lagrin carried it all inside. By day, he worked hard and appeared composed in front of everyone. But when night fell, something inside began to break open. Old stories returned as if they had just happened. Hurtful words from years ago rang in his mind, clear and sharp. Vague fears about the future wrapped around him like a thick fog. Lagrin tried every method a young person could think of, chanting more sutras to chase away his thoughts, forcing himself to meditate for long periods, hoping that no emotions would rise up, trying to think positive thoughts to cover over the dark corners. But the more he tried to push the waves away, the stronger they became. The more he hated his emotions, the more exhausted his heart grew. One evening, when his mind was completely worn out after many sleepless nights, Lagrin went to see Zen Master Orlin, the elder teacher whose eyes were as deep as a winter lake. Lagrin knelt down, his voice full of despair. "Master, I have practiced, I have chanted, I have meditated, but the emotions still flood in. Sometimes I get angry. Sometimes I am so sad I can hardly breathe. Sometimes I feel lost and don't even know why. I just want to have no emotions at all. Only then can I be at peace." Master Orlin stayed silent for a long time. Then he said, "Tonight, come with me to the lake." When the two of them arrived, the sky was completely dark. The night wind slid across the surface of the water, creating small ripples like the lake's gentle breathing. The master asked, "What do you see on the surface of the lake?" Lagrin looked closely. "I see waves. The lake is not still. And beneath those ripples, what is there?" "Water," Lagrin replied. The master asked again, "Do those little ripples shatter the water deep below?" Lagrin shook his head. "No, they don't." The master nodded softly. "Your mind is like this lake. What you call chaos or disturbing emotions is only the top layer of waves, the shallowest layer. Beneath that, there is a still region that has always been there. Your problem is not how to make the waves disappear, but that you keep believing you are the waves themselves." Lagrin fell silent. The master bent down, picked up a small stone, and dropped it into the water. Round ripples spread out, then gradually faded away as if they had never been there. "You see?" the master asked. "Yes. The waves were stirred up strongly, and then they settled. That is the nature of emotions. They arise when a stone drops into your life, a memory, a word, an event. If you don't stir them further with resistance or hatred, they will settle on their own. Suffering shows up when you try to crush the waves, or when you chase after them." Lagrin swallowed hard. "Then what should I do when the waves rise?" Master Orlin smiled. "Do what the lake is doing. Receive, reflect, and let them pass." Seeing that Lagrin was still confused, the master continued, "From tonight on, whenever an emotion rises, you don't need to push it away or hold on to it. Just place your hand on your chest, feel your breath, and quietly say to yourself, 'This is a wave of anger passing over the lake of my mind. This is a wave of sadness passing over the lake of my mind. This is a wave of fear passing over the lake of my mind. You are not the wave. You are the entire lake." That night, Lagrin sat alone by the water's edge. Familiar emotions came back again. Anger, fear, hurt. But this time, he didn't try to drive them out. He silently noticed, this is anger. This is fear. This is feeling hurt. Each time he named one, Lagrin brought his attention back to his breathing, as if he were watching ripples on a wide lake. The waves still came, but they no longer dragged him away. Beneath them, a quiet stillness gently appeared. Not because the waves were gone, but because Lagrin no longer mistook himself for the waves. By late night, the lake was as flat as a mirror, and the stars shone clearly on its surface. Inside Lagrin, something strange happened. It wasn't that there were no more emotions, but that the emotions were still there, yet no longer had the power to define him. The next morning, Master Orlin said just one sentence, a sentence bright enough to illuminate the whole lake inside Lagrin's mind. When you stop playing the role of the wave, the peace at the bottom of the lake reveals itself on its own. Lagrin's story shows a truth that is very simple, yet very deep. Emotions are movements, not identity. In the teachings, feeling, sensations, and emotions is a part of a person, but never the whole person. They arise and pass, come and go, changing like waves. Today, you might be very angry. Tomorrow, that anger softens. A year from now, when you look back, the emotion feels completely different. And yet in the very moment that emotion flares up, people easily believe, anger is me. Sadness is me. This anxiety is my true self. That identification is what gives emotions such terrible weight. When you are angry, the mind can't see anything but anger. When you are sad, the mind can't see anything but sadness. When you are anxious, the mind believes the whole world is nothing but danger. Meditation invites us to return to the position of the observer, not the victim of emotion. Instead of saying, I'm angry, so I am bad, you can simply recognize, anger is passing through this mind. Instead of concluding, I'm sad, so I am weak, you can see clearly, sadness is here, and it will pass. Instead of believing, anxiety proves I am useless, you can quietly know, this is a wave of worry. It is not the whole truth. Then peace is no longer something added from outside, but the natural state of the mind when it is no longer glued to each wave. Modern psychology says something very similar. When a person enters an observer mode of awareness, the activity of the sympathetic nervous system linked to stress decreases, and the brain regions responsible for self-awareness and clarity light up. This is exactly what mindfulness practice in Buddhism has been pointing to for a very long time. Seeing without clinging, feeling without drowning. In daily life, the peace beneath the waves is not something far away. It begins in very small moments. When someone says something that hurts you, a wave of anger rises, your face heats up, your hands tremble, your chest tightens. If you don't know what's happening, you'll immediately strike back, say something sharp, and break everything. But if in that very moment, you simply pause for one breath, inhale deeply, and tell yourself, this is a wave of anger. Anger is passing over the lake of my mind. That one sentence already creates a tiny space between you and the anger. That space is the doorway to peace. When you face uncertainty about the future, a wave of fear rises. What if I fail? What if I'm abandoned? If you forget yourself, you'll let that wave pull you into hundreds of terrible scenarios that exist only in your imagination. But if you place your hand on your belly, feel your breath, and name it, this is a wave of fear. In that instant, you are no longer the fear. You are the one seeing the fear. That difference determines whether the mind is dragged into darkness or has a safe place to stand. When a relationship ends or something important leaves your life, a wave of sadness covers everything. Your eyes sting, your chest feels heavy, and you don't want to do anything. If you think being sad means I am weak and a failure, you will condemn yourself one more time. But if you recognize sadness is honoring something that was very precious, sadness shows that my heart still knows how to value what mattered. then sadness is no longer an abyss, but a gentle farewell ceremony. Peace does not deny sadness. Peace holds sadness. Many studies show that when people calmly recognize and name their emotions, activity in the brain region responsible for panic responses decreases. In other words, the waves are still there, but they no longer have the power to smash the shore. Before sleep, you can practice a small ritual, a way of returning to your own inner lake. When you are lying down, the lights are off and the screens are put away. Give your mind a chance. Gently place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Breathe slowly and deeply a few times, just noticing the rising and falling. Silently ask, "Tonight, what waves are moving on the surface of my mind?" Maybe an image appears, someone's face, a sentence, an old story. Maybe a feeling appears, heaviness in your chest, emptiness in your stomach, pain in your throat. Don't rush to analyze. Don't rush to replay the whole story in your head over and over. Just name it. This is anger. Name it. This is worry. Name it. This is sadness. Then keep breathing slowly, like the lake simply receiving the wind without resisting it. If tears come, let them fall. Tears are not failure. They are underground water, opening a path for the heart to feel lighter. After a while, when the body starts to soften and the breath evens out, you will notice the waves are still there, but no longer violent. The mind still remembers what happened, but is no longer pulled away as before. That is the peace beneath the waves. Not a numb peace, but the peace of a lake that still knows the wind is blowing and leaves are falling, yet no longer panics at every small movement on the surface. From that state, sleep comes not as an escape from life, but as a natural continuation of a settling process. Sleep becomes rest for both body and mind, a place where the waves of the day complete their cycle and dissolve into quiet. When you have seen that peace lies beneath the waves, you begin to fear emotions less. You no longer rush to conclude, anger is bad, sadness is wrong, fear is weakness. Instead, each emotion is seen as a natural wave on the surface of the meditative lake. It comes, it goes, it rises, it settles. And when the peace beneath has revealed itself, another understanding slowly ripens. Emotions are not obstacles to a meditative life. They are the very material of meditation, the place where we grow. Meditation does not teach don't feel. Meditation teaches feeling fully without being drowned. Emotions, when held with mindfulness, become a path, not a barrier, on the journey of awakening. There is a paradox many people don't recognize. They come to meditation hoping to find peace, but then panic when they discover there are so many emotions inside them. Many people have shared that when they cry during meditation, they think they've done something wrong. When anger arises while they're sitting still, they believe their mind must be terrible. When sadness wells up in the middle of the breath, they assume they have failed. One question keeps coming up again and again. Why is it that the more I meditate, the more emotions I seem to feel, the Zen master often says. Because until now, you've only been running away from your emotions. Now that you sit still, they finally have a chance to come out. Most people believe emotions are obstacles. Anger is bad. Worry is weakness. Sadness is wrong. Being sensitive means being unstable, but the teachings point to the opposite. Emotions are the very raw material of meditation. Just as fire is not created out of thin air, meditation is not born from a numb heart. It is precisely the deepest vibrations, anger, sadness, hurt, longing, fear, that become doors into awakening. The problem does not lie in the emotions themselves, but in how people treat them. If you suppress them, emotions turn to stone. If you run from them, emotions chase you. If you cling to them, emotions drown you. Only when you look at them directly do emotions become a quiet teacher. To help you see this more clearly, let us step into the next old story about a young disciple who once saw emotions as his enemies until he realized that they were exactly what helped him grow. In the Saran Valley, where winters are so cold that the wind whistling through the rocks sounds like the mountain itself is sighing, there was an ancient monastery called Tetsugan. The 4 seasons there were as distinct as 4 chapters of an old book. And in that monastery lived a young disciple named Kalo, gentle, sensitive, and so easily hurt that a single small remark could keep him awake all night. For Kalo, emotions were always a burden. Anger made his heart tremble. Fear made him want to disappear. Sadness made him curl into himself like a leaf shrinking in the cold wind. He believed that as long as he still had emotions, he would remain weak. And that was why Kalo came to meditation, with only one goal: I want to stop feeling anything at all. The abbot of Tetsugan was Zen master Ruvanin, whose gaze was strange, kind, yet deep, as if he could see things people hadn't yet found words for. After hearing Kalo open his heart, the master didn't explain or give a long teaching. He simply said one sentence: "In 3 nights, meet me when the sky is at its darkest." Kalo didn't understand, but he nodded. Night 1. The master led Kalo into a snow-covered forest. The wind was strong, and dry branches struck each other, making sharp, cold, knocking sounds. "What do you hear?" the master asked. "I hear branches breaking. I hear the strong wind," Kalo answered, his voice slightly shaking. "And what do you feel inside?" "I'm afraid." The master placed his hand on Kalo's shoulder and spoke softly, like the wind. "Fear is the story of the wind. You only need to stand still and breathe." At first, Kalo felt the fear as if it wanted to rip his chest open. But when he stood still, not running, not resisting, he slowly realized no matter how strong the wind is, it still passes. The fear inside does the same. Night 2. The next night, the master took Kalo to the shore of a large frozen lake. The night sky was reflected on the dark ice, flat like a mirror. "What do you see?" the master asked. "I see a still layer of ice, but I know underneath there is still water flowing." The master nodded. Your emotions are like this surface of ice. What you see on top is just a thin layer. Anger, fear, sadness. But beneath it, there is always a wide, quiet body of water. You don't need to break the ice. When the sun appears, the ice melts on its own. Kalo stood silently. Something inside him moved, small, but real. Night 3. On the last night, it was so cold that each breath turned into white mist. The master led Kalo into a dark cave where there was only a small oil lamp burning. Sit down, look at the flame. Kalo stared at it. The flame flickered gently with every draft of air. The master said, "See this flame as your emotions. It moves, it grows strong, then weak. But it isn't wrong. It is only doing what fire always does." Suddenly, the master stirred the lamp with a stick. The flame shook violently and almost went out. "What do you see?" Kalo replied. The flame grew weaker, almost disappeared. That is what happens when you try to put out your emotions. You can't kill them. You only make them struggle and exhaust yourself in the process. The master poured in more oil. The flame brightened again, not too strong but soft, steady, and clear. "And now what do you see?" Kalo looked for a long time, then whispered, "The flame is still fire, but it burns more beautifully." The master looked straight at him and spoke the sentence Kalo carried with him for the rest of his life. Emotions do not need to be extinguished. They only need to be lit in the right way. In that moment, Kalo understood a truth he had been running from for many years. Emotions had never been the enemy. What caused him pain was the way he fought against his own heart. That night, on the way back to the monastery, it wasn't that the wind had grown less cold. It was that Kalo had become less afraid of himself. Kalo's story reveals a very important truth. Emotions are energy, not mistakes. Anger, when seen clearly, becomes a sharp, honest strength. Sadness, when held gently, becomes a doorway to healing. Fear, when faced directly, becomes wakefulness. In Buddhist teaching, feeling, emotion, is a natural part of body and mind. It arises, changes, and disappears, just like the weather. Meditation does not teach people to stop being afraid, stop being angry, or stop being sad. Meditation teaches, know that you are afraid, that you are angry, that you are sad. When you clearly know that an emotion is present, you are no longer swept away by it. When you know where it comes from, it loses its power to control you. When you breathe with it, it becomes a teacher. Modern psychology also confirms the same thing. When people name their emotions, the brain reduces its stress response. When people allow emotions to be present, the nervous system returns to balance. When people observe emotions as phenomena, they reduce the intensity of negativity by 60-70%. That is exactly the spirit of meditation. Feeling without drowning, seeing without clinging, touching without breaking. In everyday life, emotions appear everywhere. In conversations, in relationships, in family matters, at work, or even when you're simply standing alone in a quiet room. What matters is not having no emotions, but how you face them each time they rise. When someone hurts you, instead of blaming yourself, "I'm too weak," you can breathe and say, "This is a wave of sadness. It is passing through." When worry rushes in at night, instead of rushing to cover it up, you can place your hand on your belly and name it. This is fear. When anger rises like fire, instead of suppressing it, you can look directly. This is anger. Naming is the first step toward freedom. Observing is the first step toward peace. Softening is the first step toward healing. Science tells us, if you take 6 deep breaths and connect your breathing with naming your emotion, your body naturally shifts into a relaxed state, without force, without struggle. That is exactly what Kalo learned. Emotions do not block meditation. They are the very path that leads you to it. When you understand that emotions are not the enemy, you no longer fight against yourself. What once made you tense now becomes a doorway into deeper understanding. Meditation does not teach avoidance. It teaches you to walk through. It does not teach you to shut emotions off, but to hold them fully without being swept away. As this journey comes to its final moments, I hope you can feel something very important. Emotions have never truly been your enemy. They are simply waves trying to carry you back to yourself. Each emotion carries a message, sometimes a warning, sometimes a reminder, sometimes a doorway into a deeper part of the mind you've forgotten for a long time. In the teachings, the Zen masters always say, when we are able to hold our pain, we are also holding ourselves, because peace does not arise from shutting down what is happening inside, but from knowing how to listen, how to breathe with it, and how to let everything complete its natural cycle. Tonight, if something is weighing on your heart, please remember, you don't have to erase your sadness. You only need to stop running from it. You don't have to push anxiety away. You only need to give it some room to breathe. You don't have to fight your anger. You only need to see clearly the boundary it is trying to protect. When you stop that inner war, the stillness within becomes as clear as a lake after the wind has passed. And in that stillness, deep, safe, healing sleep will find you like a friend. Thank you for walking with Buddhism seeds through this whole journey. If today's content touched any corner of your heart, please subscribe to the channel, click like, and share so that more people can find the peace you are beginning to find. And don't forget to leave a comment. Share one emotion you have learned to stop fighting with today. I wish you a night that is truly quiet, truly soft, truly light. I wish you a good sleep, with a heart that has begun to make peace with itself.